right, you assholes.
Ah, we're live. I'm not prepared for this. How's it going, Ryan?
Yeah, pretty good. Yep.
Okay. The star of the stream is here. Elam, we don't have to say anything. Elam's got this. We're just going with it. Wow, we were talking about the Spider-Man Superman special, which I'll be honest, you can probably pick up a copy still, because I know my comic shop was flooded with them. Hold on, let me see if I can dig it out. Yeah, right. There's my copy. I got the Power Girl Black Cat variant cover. I assume that'll be a copy in there. Yes. Boob window galore. Boom window. But
and hello to just quick hello to the chat as well.
No, you don't talk to the chat.
I feel like I owe it to them. They've joined us when we're
okay.
We've got a little bit of an erratic schedule at the moment.
Yes, so. Yeah. We will sometimes do live streams when something pops up. But yeah, I mean we got a couple of news stories here, but
yeah, and we'll return to normal at some point, but everybody's a little busy at the moment.
Yes.
Which is why Dane is not here tonight.
Mm-hmm.
Although,
really? I just thought he was being a slacker. But yeah, no, the streams will pop up if something comes up available. I'm usually available on Wednesdays, which is why we usually do the stream on Wednesdays. So I'm usually able to pop in. But...
And Eric's doing some great heavy lifting with his Copecast, which is sort of, the early show. He's I don't whichever late night show comes before the other late night show. I don't know. I can't remember how it works over there with you guys, but he gave us a little plug as well.
Nice. But yeah, as I was just saying, the comic book, like there's gonna be tons of copies. Odds are, I'm sure you can pick it up tomorrow. I'm probably even a week from now. Like I said, tons of copies. Although it is selling decently, as one would expect. But before we get to the main topic, we do have some news to go over. See, I guess we should probably go over some of the older news. So like, stupid. Hold on, let me allow ads real fast so I can show this. Is it going to do it? Okay. So I already talked about this on the podcast. I don't think I talked about my live stream. This came out the same day as my live stream on Monday. But Starfleet Academy to end with season 2. So they're canceling it, which kind of kills the possibility of season 2 really building any momentum. It would take a miracle for season 2 to build up and get ratings high enough for them not to cancel it. And to me, this even tells me that they don't even really care about the ratings. This is more just them killing it. And, I'm sure lots of people blame the Chuds for this. And listen, I'm sure they hurt the series. I'm sure there are people who just heard from the general vibe that the show was bad without actually giving it a shot. Because that was a general vibe I was getting. The show was bad. But the issue was I was actually watching it and I thought it was decent. There are some episodes I think aren't great, but it's decent. I don't know. Were you watching it, Ryan?
I wasn't. No. We didn't have Paramount Plus, and then we did. But we have it with it. Yeah, we didn't pay. We wouldn't pay for it because we already pay for stuff. Then they made it free with our Sky subscription, a sort of satellite TV package, but with adverts. And the adverts are intrusive. It's a horrible. So it makes everything virtually unwatchable.
Well, I mean, I will say the Paramount Plus app, like from everyone I've talked to, with I would say with the exception of my Roku. And probably other people's Roku, probably not exclusively my Roku, but Roku seems to handle it fine. But for the most part, the Paramount Plus app sucks. It is glitchy as hell. It half the time it doesn't even load the video. It is obnoxiously bad. But yeah, so this was canceled. I think the most prevalent theory that's going around that makes most sense is honestly, it costs too much to produce, and Paramount is in a ton of debt, and they're going to be in way, way, way more debt if this Warner Brothers deal actually goes through. Which I really hope it doesn't, but we'll have to see.
Let's also not forget that the original series that sparked this all off, that was cancelled after 3 series and was nearly cancelled before that. Twice, saved thanks to a letter writing campaign.
True.
And I think the letter writing campaign was spearheaded by female fans of the show as well.
That was a big part of it, yeah. And that's how come season 3 even exists of the original series.
Yeah. I don't think in the current way that TV works that would be a factor, because I think they've they cancelled it after season 3 anyway. But yeah, letter writing campaigns do not have what little power they used to.
But I was just going to add, like, it seems like, so we got one more season of Starfleet Academy coming out next year, probably. And then later this year, we'll get the penultimate season of Strange New Worlds. And then next year, we'll get the final season of Strange New Worlds. And then as far as it looks, that might be it for Star Trek for the time being. There is a movie being penned by the Dungeons and Dragons Honor Among Thieves writers that is in super early stages, so that can get shit canned at any moment. But
yeah, and a
bit it for Star Trek right now.
Yeah, and that writing team is hit and miss, I would say. If it's
I don't know. I think they're more hit than miss, but they aren't perfect.
Well, they did. Is it John Daly, who used to be in Freaks and Geeks? Is it?
Yes.
Yeah, they did the Vacation film, which was. Oof.
Oh, did they do that one? I didn't remember that.
Yeah,
that was bad.
I think that might have been their first one. So, but Dungeons and Dragons was great. It's a real shame that it didn't do better at the box office, because actually it turned out to be very enjoyable.
Yeah, no, that's probably one of my favorite movies over the past couple of years. That's just a fun movie to watch, with great characters. Like, you show me that movie and say that team's working on a Star Trek movie, I'm like, okay, you got my ear. I'm intrigued. Now, of course, you also tell me the Ellisons are in charge of the company. I'm also kind of like, why? But yeah, so I mean, we might be looking at a dead period for Star Trek, which I'll tell you as a Star Trek fan, it happens. There'll be a dead period. Give it a few years. There'll be a movie that kicks everything off, does really well, and then we get new series, and then it dies after 10 years. It seems to be the ebb and flow.
It happens quite a lot, yeah. Going right way back to the original, there was 11 years between that ending and the film coming out, or 10 years, a decade.
Well, true, but we also had the animated series in between there, so it was like, I want to say maybe like 4 years between the original series and then the animated series, and then maybe like 5 between that and the film.
And that was nearly a new series as well, wasn't it? They were going to bring back the series with the original cast rather than go into films. So it's crazy how the sort of timeline all lines up. And then while they were still making the films, Next Generation comes along, and then it's sort of like a steamroller.
Yeah,
you get Next Generation, DS9 and Voyager, then a shortish break, then Enterprise, and then a long break.
And yeah, TNG is by far the most successful Star Trek has ever been. 7 seasons, and the only reason TNG ended after 7 years was because the original crew didn't want to make any more movies, and the movies were still making money, so they rushed a TNG movie out, which was Generations, which it frustrates me, because if they had spent like another year polishing that script, I think they would have had something. As it was really clunky and rushed together, and you could feel it. But yeah. Yeah, so another break with Star Trek. Anything you want to add, Ryan, or should we move on?
No, that's about it.
Okay, so the next thing that came out that day, I believe, and this one actually surprised. God, okay. Yes, I will pause ads. Yes, you can put up your ads. Wonder Man renewed for season 2. did even know
I didn't see this coming.
Season 2. I didn't.
I really didn't see this coming. I mean, regardless of how the show ends, I'm not going to spoil it here, but obviously there's a potential for a second season, or it could have just ended there, really. And it didn't seem like because the way the show was kind of rushed out all at once. Was it? Yeah, it was all in one go, wasn't it? Sort of dropped without much.
Yeah, they dropped it all in the same day, which drives me insane anymore. I'm not a fan of that.
Yeah, in one sense, but then in another sense, I like being able to watch it all at once. So yeah, I think it's a complete shock because the first season, while brilliant, I think the best thing Marvel has done on TV for a long time, because it felt like a real series that had actually been crafted with the idea of it being one season, and brilliantly made, brilliantly acted. I thought he was brilliant.
The two leads
was absolutely fantastic. Great chemistry with Kingsley
and Ben Kingsley. They're both phenomenal in that series. I want to say the penultimate episode where Simon figures out everything about Trevor. God, the acting in that episode was so fucking brilliant. I loved it. And then the conclusion was just, I love the conclusion as well. If you have not seen Wonder Man, I do highly recommend it. It is very good.
I mean, the different shades that Yahya has to play between, like, sort of giving a bad performance on purpose to being actually a great actor to being it's unbelievable the different sort of all in one season to give that many different flavors of acting performance. And then I love the Doorman episode, which was a real shock. Didn't see that coming. I thought it was brilliant. So yeah, really pleased to see a season 2. Just completely shocked. Obviously, it must have done really well on streaming.
Yeah, the series does have a beginning and end, which is why I was also kind of shocked. So I'm kind of interested to see, like, will Wonder Man season 2 be them about making the movie sequel? Because there's a very strong meta aspect to this show. And I would like to see them continue that. I don't want them to go into any type of standard superhero stuff, which it could easily fall into. I don't think it will.
Based on the way the series went, it's going to be hard to know how they did that. I would.
I guess so, like, minor spoilers for Wonder Man season 1. I guess Josh Gad is just missing in the Marvel universe,
which is brilliant. I love it when they do that. I don't. Do you remember the old TV show Las Vegas from the sort of early 2000s with James Caan?
I never saw that. I remember. I remember of it though. I remember.
They did one episode that featured Jean-Claude Van Damme playing himself.
Yeah.
And there's a stunt that goes wrong. The stuntman is supposed to do the stunt, but he does it instead, and it goes wrong, and it kills him. So that series kills Jean-Claude Van Damme, and it just... I guess he's just dead now.
I guess the big question we now have to ask is Joey Pants returning for season 2?
I hope so. I love Joey Pants in everything he's in, and he's brilliant in that. Yeah. But, so obviously it did well. I mean, the Jets are probably kicking themselves that they didn't bash it more than they did, because it's obviously...
they might have been able to make some more money. Yeah, I mean,
real missed opportunity.
It was a damn good show. So yay. Let's see. So next we have I wonder if I have an ad blocker. I can't tell. Anyways, so we actually got a poster for a Punisher One Last Kill, John Bernthal's one-shot Punisher special, which, by the way, I really am enjoying the idea of doing more one-shots for Marvel, because those can be a lot of fun. Werewolf by Night,
100%.
But I like the idea of just doing these one shots, and oh my god, these ads are obnoxious. But yeah, this is gonna be this is John Berthal's first writing credit. He co-wrote that. Well, I don't know if he co-wrote it or co-developed the stories. And holy crap, the ads on this are ridiculous. But yeah, I'm really excited for this. It's also coming out sooner than I thought. May 12th. I was expecting it more around Christmas. Because
I thought so.
For the holidays, I love some Punisher action. I love some. But yeah, I wasn't expecting it in like 2 months. And like, but hey, if it's ready to go, sure. So yeah, I guess they'll also be releasing around the final episode of Born Again season 2, probably sometime around there.
Yeah,
so I don't know if they're crossing over at all, but yeah.
Yeah, about 2 months worth, I think. So yeah, it will be. Yeah, and I know they're teasing that he's gonna have a surprise co-star in it. That I'm not even going to bother speculating. The most obvious one would be Spider-Man, considering that's the film that comes next for the Punisher. But
yeah,
who knows?
I don't know if Sony would let them have Tom Holland for something like that. Maybe it might be part of
the I don't know because the contract is the thing that keeps Spider-Man. But yeah, we'll have to wait and see anyway. Who knows who else he's going to team up with in that or get help from, something like that it was saying. So it's very vague, but looking forward to see John Bernthal in his swollen face makeup again, because I have no doubt that like every other iteration of his Punisher, he's going to get the shit beaten out of him for most of it.
I mean, I will say his Punisher is, in my opinion, the most brutal. I don't know. I guess Ray Stevenson was pretty fucking brutal too, but that was almost cartoonishly brutal. While his Punisher is more, it's brutal, but it's more realistic at least.
Certainly for him.
Yeah,
because he gets brutalized in it all, which is I'm a bit sorry. I feel a bit sorry for him, because the only way this can end is with him having serious brain damage, surely, because he keeps getting hit in the head.
Let's be real, Punisher isn't all there, so he's a great character, but yeah, he's not the image of sanity, so he's but yeah, I am looking very forward to this. And then we also have Disney. Speaking of this will just be a recurring theme, guys. This is just... Oh wait, no, I am blocking ads on this. I'm already blocking ads. What do you want? Oof. Okay, I'll try enabling ads and then blocking them again. Oh, okay. So enabling ads clears it up on this one. Or I'm sorry, enabling ad blocker. Okay. Disney exits OpenAI deal after AI giant shutters Sora. The studio will no longer move forward with its OpenAI investment as the AI company exits the video generation business. So it sounds like Disney is doing the right thing, but it's not really their call. They kind of the other company shuttered and they just went along with it. That being said, I don't know about anybody else. I am sick to death of AI everywhere. This is obnoxious.
Yeah,
Ryan, your thoughts?
It's becoming so pervasive on YouTube now. AI voice generated scripts, AI generated scripts, AI generated thumbnails, AI generated videos. I don't watch anything that I even suspect is going to be AI, which probably means that there's people that I'm not watching who aren't AI but just sound like it. But,
well, there's probably like people disabled who don't have voices who use AI, and I probably don't watch their stuff because all this AI crap. The second I turn on a video and the voice sounds slightly AI, I'm out. I'm not watching that. I'm not.
I mean, I've got a bit better at spotting it now, because certainly the scripts, because the structure of them always seems to be the same. I can't really describe it, and I haven't got an example to mind, but there's a certain way they have of starting all the videos that sort of ask a lot of questions, sort of these open-ended questions that you can start to tell. So Yeah, but I'm really sick of it everywhere.
Also, the AI voice is a bit easier to spot because there's a cleanness to the recording that is completely unnatural.
Yeah.
It vibes like there's nothing analog in it, which there isn't, which is hard to tell. But it's also tough to describe. It's almost like the more you hear it, the more you recognize it. It's like, oh, that's not right.
Yeah, and they're even trying to get around that now by putting fake intakes of breath in to AI videos, so that you'll hear people breathe in, and you'll think, "Oh, well, that can't be AI." No, that's also added in. But yeah,
God,
I don't know why OpenAI is getting out of the video generation business. I wonder if it's either because there are lawsuits regarding sort of nude applications,
ooh,
or if
yeah.
it's because it just isn't doing what they want it to do quickly enough, and they're slowly running out of the money that has been invested so far. But it seems like turning down $1 billion from Disney seems like there must be a better incentive for them not to be doing it.
Oh, and the master here is pointing out, well, text to speech isn't technically AI, which is
No,
true.
no, I would, yeah. The
But
problem is text to speech and AI speech are even more difficult to tell apart than the human voice in the AI.
Yeah, no, they have an AI quality to them, which is very distracting, even if it's not actually AI. I do understand it's not AI, but when the text speech comes on, it sounds like AI, and yeah.
And unfortunately, all of the things that AI would be useful for, like this sort of thing, like helping people with disabilities to sort of get their voice heard, is not the sort of stuff that makes enough money for them ever to bother doing it. It's so uncost effective that they're looking for a big paycheck.
Yeah,
and they haven't found one yet. So,
well, they aren't making all the money making tons and tons and tons of bullshit videos on YouTube or social media, I should say, because they're all over the place. But yeah, it's infuriating. Down with AI. Final bit of news. A new Lord of the Rings movie?
Apparently so.
There's more to this. Let me get queued up here. Hold on. Friday does this sometimes. I was having the same issue yesterday. Hold on. There we go. All right, so new Lord of the Rings movie from Stephen Colbert and his son in development at Warner Brothers. I'm glad between this and Starfleet Academy, Stephen Colbert is getting work. Although I guess Starfleet Academy will be drying up.
Certainly
Warner Brothers
curious
revealed that Stephen Colbert and his son, are developing a brand new Lord of the Rings movie. I'm not even sure. I was wondering about that. I saw that WB video announcement with Peter Jackson. Let me go ahead and actually, I can pull that up and we can watch it.
Yeah, it's very curious. Obviously, Warner Brothers still have the rights to their film version that they made, and I'm not sure what other book rights they retain. I don't know if he's going to be restricted to using characters that specifically appeared in the Peter Jackson films or not, because obviously the Tolkien estate has a deal with Amazon for the 3 books and the appendices, but nothing more. So it's curious. Also, how much of an appetite there is for it, I don't know, because the animated film didn't do very well. I'm not seeing a huge amount of excitement about The Hunt for Gollum.
No.
Which is going to be a weird one as well, because they're bringing back some of the cast, but then they're recasting Aragorn because they need him to look not like Viggo Mortensen looks now.
Yeah. It makes me wonder, like, what storyline are they going for? What storyline can they even go for? But we got the announcement video here.
Well, hi everybody. I thought it was time to give you all a Hunt for Gollum update, the first of many that we'll do, little blogs along the way. And Andy Serkis has been busy designing the film. He's going to direct it and obviously play Gollum. We've got a lot of the old team back again, familiar faces and some new faces. But Andy's doing a terrific job. It's looking amazing. The script is coming together really well, and I think it's going to be a really good film, a really good film. But that is not the only Tolkien movie that we're developing. We've actually got another film that we'll be making after Hunt for Gollum. So I thought I should tell you a little bit about that. Actually, why don't I get somebody else to explain it? Because we've got a very special partner that we're working with, and you can see for yourself. Hang on. There we go. Hello.
Hi, Peter.
Hey, Stephen. Hi. How are you?
How are you doing?
Good. I like all your Tolkien stuff on the wall there. That's that's hard.
Oh, thanks. This is just part of the collection.
So I was just explaining to the folks about the next Tolkien movie after Hunt for Gollum, and the fact that we've partnered up with you to develop the script. So
yeah, I'm pretty happy about it. Should I tell people what the story is?
As much as you want. Yep.
I will, as much as I can. You know what the books mean to me and what your films mean to me. But the thing I found myself reading over and over again were the 6 chapters early on in the Fellowship that y'all never developed into the first movie back in the day. It's basically the chapter is 3 is Company through Fog on the Barrow Downs. And I thought, oh, wait, maybe that could be its own story that could fit into the larger story. Could we make something that was completely faithful to the books while also being completely faithful to the movies that you guys had already made? And I started talking it over with my son, Peter, who's also a screenwriter. And we worked out what we thought would work, especially as a framing device for that story. And it took me a few years to scrape my courage into a pile to give you a call. But about 2 years ago, I did. You liked it enough to talk to me about it. And ever since then, the two of us have been working with the brilliant Philippa Boyens on how to develop the story. And we recently took it to Richard Brenner at New Line and Pam Abdy and Mike DeLuca at Warner Brothers. And I could not be happier to say that they loved it. And so that's what we're going to be working on.
Fantastic. Now, are you sure you've got the time, though? Because,
that I did not think I would have the time. As much as I love it, I knew I couldn't do that and do the show at the same time. But it turns out I'm going to be free starting this summer.
Well, isn't that fortunate?
Isn't that a you catastrophe right there? So if you'll excuse me, I've got to finish a television show and I've got to write a movie script, but I will see you all in the Shire.
Okay. All righty. Bye-bye. See you, Stephen.
Thanks, Peter.
Bye. Bye-bye.
All right. So, yeah, it's been a long time since I've read the books, but yes, Tom Bombadil definitely sticks out as something that was cut out of the original Lord of the Rings story. They brought it back a bit for the Hobbit, which felt really weird when they did that. But yeah, it seems like that's kind of where Stephen Colbert is kind of going. Also seems like that's, assuming, Bob of the Old Ways is saying WB has the rights to the Lord of the Rings trilogy specifically. So essentially what they can do is they can do like the extra stuff that the movies didn't really go into. Which makes some interesting movie choices. Yeah. So
because obviously Jackson kept all of the Tom Bombadil stuff because he didn't find it particularly narratively interesting.
Yeah.
And to be honest, I agree with him.
Yeah, I agree as well. I know there are fans of that stuff. For me, I was like, it feels like we're distracting from the main story to me.
I mean, I like the idea of Tom Bombadil as a character, but also narratively, he really doesn't fit because he's just like this weird sort of being that is not affected by any other magic and can do whatever he wants. And he helps the hobbits, but only against the Barrow-wights. And his weird wife, Goldberry, who is just another magical creature unaffected by the ring. So I can see why it was taken out, but also it's not a very interesting part of that first book. It's just from them leaving the Shire to them getting to the Prancing Pony. No, no, it's not the Prancing Pony, is it?
No, I don't. No,
Bree?
Prancing Pony, I'm pretty sure is the inn they go to where they encounter Strider, aka Aragorn.
Yeah, so it's between. Yeah, it is then.
Yeah.
It's between them leaving the Shire and them going to Bree,
Okay.
which is a lot of walking. There's they get attacked by a forest. They meet Tom Bombadil, and then they get attacked by Barrow White. So, and that's actually as well where they find the swords that they then carry through the rest of the film, I think, if my memory serves.
Yeah, it seems vaguely familiar. It's been a lot. Listen, I was in high school when I read them, so it's been a moment since I've been in high school. But yeah, it's vaguely familiar.
It's going to be a challenge. We'll see if Colbert can pull it off without making it too inside baseball.
Yeah.
Because he loves the books. He loves the films. He's infinitely more knowledgeable about the books than probably anybody else on Earth, I would say, at this point.
Pretty much guarantee he's more knowledgeable than me by a decent margin. Maybe not Bob the old ways, but that's about it.
So yeah, he knows everything. He's read all of Tolkien. He reads it again and again and again. So yeah, his knowledge is great. But I do worry that perhaps he's just wants to film the bits that he wants to see.
Yeah. That being said, like if that seems to be all Warner Brothers can do with the franchise right now, it's like they have the rights to Lord of the Rings trilogy, and they did those movies. So now it's like, okay, now we have to do the stuff we cut out of the book, because that feels like what Hunt for Gollum is as well. Because I'm envisioning that's like just
well, yeah, that sort of, in theory, that takes place in parallel to what's going on with the Hobbits, as that's when Gandalf leaves the Shire to the point at which he's captured by Saruman. So it's sort of the bit of the film where we don't see him for a bit. What's he doing? And he's looking for Gollum. And that's where, like, basically, I can see the film ending with him telling Aragorn to go and meet the hobbits at the Prancing Pony, or something to words to that effect. So yeah, I'm not sure. Like, as much as I love those films, I love being in that world. Do I want to see the bits that were cut out, considering there's so much there in the films? And that is, like you said, that is all Warner can do other than remake them. And I don't think there's any appetite to remake them.
I mean, those original movies were done so well by Peter Jackson. It's tough to retread. And yeah, I also feel like to do like these interquels, an issue might arise because a lot of the actors have aged out. So if they need to use those actors, they use CGI. And one of the elements of the original Peter Jackson trilogy was they do lots of like computer tricks, but a lot of the filming is very practical. So like when you actually look at behind the scenes, like, you know, Elijah Wood sitting next to Gandalf, but they're actually doing a visual trick where he is actually sitting behind him. It just looks like he's sitting next to him to make him look smaller. And the trilogy is filled with little tricks like that. And nowadays, I just feel like they would just all CGI it, and it would just look
because that's what Jackson did for The Hobbit, wasn't it?
Yeah,
because it was less labor intensive, rather than use all the old tricks. It's all just done in a computer, which sort of does diminish it, I think. Because I think you can tell more. I think the Hobbit trilogy has aged worse than the Lord of the Rings trilogy, because there's a couple of janky moments in Lord of the Rings where you can see it's a CGI shot, but not many.
Yeah, I know with the Lord of the Rings, I still love those movies, and I still watch them probably every couple of years. And The Hobbit, I want to say I watched the first one when that came out, and I watched the first and then the second one when it came out, and then I saw the whole trilogy when the last one came out. And like I thought, as I recall, I think Desolation of Smog was probably the best one, but Battle of the 12 Armies really disappointed me, and I don't think I've seen that trilogy since I saw that one. So I probably saw the first one most, but yeah, the Hobbit trilogy has not aged well, I guess. Is my
no, I saw the second one in the 48 frames per second. If you remember that.
Oh yeah, Peter
Jackson,
that
whole scandal.
That, yeah.
It looked weird for the first 5 minutes, but then you got used to it, like everything visual.
Mm-hmm.
I think. I mean, I can remember watching a film on a TV that was predominantly green in color because the color thing had gone on it, and after a while, your eyes just adjust and you don't even notice it.
I mean, it's one of those things where if you're old enough and you remember watching VHS, you just got used to the crappy video quality. Looking back on it now, whenever you look at VHS now, it's like, who the fuck watches this? It looks awful. What was your only option? You either watch it that way or you don't watch it, you know? But yeah, I'm intrigued by also, to me, this is really showing WB's limits with the Lord of the Rings franchise as well. So yeah, I'm not saying they're going to be bad. I think Andy Serkis is a solid director. I don't know about Stephen Colbert's chops as a writer or anything like that, but other than comedy writing, obviously. But you know, I guess we'll find out.
Sketchy Got Hands says they're echoing. Are we echoing? Is one of us echoing, or
I don't know. Is there echoing? I don't hear echoing.
I don't either. So
okay,
let us know if one of us is echoing and which one.
Ooh, yes.
Otherwise, shall we press on to the main event?
Yes, the main event. So we have a video that's we'll see if he mentions his name. I guess I already put his name on screen there, but he's a smart YouTuber that definitely loves to defend these guys. I know Birdman's talked about him before.
This is not him, should be pointing out. This is another YouTuber who he's one of the good ones. He's got a great channel where he mostly actually reviews poetry. But he's done a couple of anti-Chud videos that are really good, and this is obviously the one that.
I'll be honest. I'm glad you said that because, like, when I brought this up, I was like, okay, I'm not used to these guys actually showing their faces. I mean, it does.
Oh no, he doesn't. He doesn't show his face.
But yeah, this guy is a clear-cut EFAP fan. He is here to prove objective criticism is true. We will find out. Maybe I'll just have to change how I think of all film criticism if objective criticism is true. That'd be amazing. I mean,
the only way you can strive for objectivity as a writer is if you lie. By lying, you shield yourself from the scrutiny of subjectivity.
What?
That actually makes sense. Yeah. Yeah, by saying you're objective, it's kind of the coward's way out, and so essentially saying this is objective, so you can't debunk it. So, yeah, no, I 100% get the point of that clip.
Bro, what are you talking about, man?
Hey guys, Kinoflex here, and in today's video, I'm going to be responding to a video from a breadtuber with an axe to grind against Mahler, the critical drinker, and most importantly, the concept of objective criticism itself. Now, when you come across a video essay attempting to refute or debunk someone else, you would expect them to go over the specific stance the video essayist seeks to refute. For this particular video essay, does this guy do that? No, not really. What he ends up doing instead is going after straw men, such as claiming that the people he's responding to believe that there is no room for subjectivity, which is a stance neither Mahler or Drinker have ever expressed.
So I'm pretty sure when Mahler and Rags and all that EFAP crew first started, they did argue for objectivity in film criticism. I will say they have backed off of it, but their fans haven't, and they still do that.
While they may have also never said those words specifically, the general vibe that they've always given off and the sort of sentiments that they've generated is that subjective criticism is pointless. It is of no use, no value, because they can give their subjective opinion, but it has no value because it would be just their opinion. Whereas because they use objective criticism, it is not an opinion, it is fact. Therefore, it is more valuable and better.
By the way, I have a video where I pretty much have clips of them saying pretty much shit exactly like that. So,
and the guy that Kinoflex here is talking about as well, his argument is not that these guys do this thing. His thesis is that, is objective criticism a thing? Is it possible to do? So he's not making a video specifically about Drinker and Mauler, although they're the center of his thesis. That's not what it's about. So he's already building up a false narrative about what the video's about.
What? No, these guys would never do that. What do you mean? They're very honest and good faith, Ryan. Come on.
Established to not be the case whenever these exact criticisms are brought up time and time again.
But here lies the issue. The Right Opinion and I would not be discussing Rags' video if the issue at hand was just that he doesn't like The Last Jedi and other people do. The problem is that his thesis statement is essentially that other people are not allowed to disagree with his opinion.
Bullshit.
Yeah, I don't think Rag said that, but go ahead. Show me a clip.
Yeah.
Show me a clip, Quentin.
Because his opinion is on a higher playing field than.
Yeah, this is why Clinton. This is why Quentin's a fucking scumbag.
Yeah, he's a piece of.
I mean, this is kind of their arguments that they make. I don't know if there's any specific clips, but I mean, again, like a lot of their audience treat these guys almost like a fucking religion. It gets obnoxious.
Shit.
Yeah, Quentin's a piece of shit. This is the kind of thing that the piece of shit does. People like Quentin, they don't seek to understand. It's not they don't value the pursuit of knowledge in the same way. To say that that's my thesis statement is absolutely ridiculous. To say that nobody's allowed to enjoy it is absolutely ridiculous.
Hey, Rex, remember.
Okay, I find it interesting that he's criticizing him for not wanting, for not valuing a pursuit of knowledge. Because one of the things I thought was interesting was when Rags went after one of my videos, like when we had our back and forth via video form forever ago. I was actually shocked because like he likes to speak like he's an expert on movies, and in the video, it was clear when I mentioned Joel Edgerton and Obi-Wan Kenobi, he had no idea who I was talking about. And it's like, listen, I'm not expecting everybody to know who Joel Edgerton is, but he's a semi-famous guy. And if you're going to be like, I'm an expert on movie knowledge, you should probably be somewhat aware of him. I just felt that was weird. So,
yeah. Also, it doesn't help your argument when in videos that you've made, you call films slop for the masses and other such phrases. I know, for example, they've made videos where they've referred to films as basically slop, or stuff that idiots will clap their hands at, things like that. So to say that they wouldn't criticize somebody for liking a film or for liking a particular piece of media, I think it's completely disingenuous. And again, they may not say those exact words of "if you like this, you are wrong," but they have called people the arseler. They've called people idiots. They've gone through other people's reviews of films and criticized those reviews. Now, if that is not criticizing the very idea of having a different opinion to theirs, what is the purpose of those videos?
True.
How at the beginning of all EFAPs, you're like, this will be fun because you guys get to hear my perspective, which is on a higher playing field than everyone else's.
Oh,
you know how you say that all the time?
That's why I always start them out like that, because I know that my opinion is the objective standard by which we judge quality. And anything that deviates from my opinion is on the spectrum of incorrect.
And yeah, so for people who are like, this is a really long stream, it's like, yeah, well, this video gets worse as you progress.
Well, again, I would actually argue, like, they're saying that so deadpan, and like, I think he's trying to be sarcastic, But like he says it so deadpan, and his audience treats him like he's a religion. So I don't know if he's being sarcastic or not. I genuinely don't. It's actually bizarre.
So this is part of the shit that needed to be responded to in terms of just fuck you, Quentin. Stop telling people that this is what we actually do when it's not.
This is oh yeah,
this would be a really great time to tell people what they actually do. You would say, you tell people that this is what we do when what we actually do is this, but they don't want to do that because they like the opaqueness.
Yes.
And again, it comes down to, unless they specifically say the words rather than give the general sense of that imply what they're saying, then you haven't caught them. Unless they say those exact words, you haven't caught them.
Yeah.
The video, someone pointed out in chat, at the beginning of the fucking video that this is a response to, I say, it's okay if you liked it.
Exactly. But that doesn't count.
So
none of that counts.
Even though I specifically say something, Quentin can come in with his big ass brain and his compensation beard and his yellow teeth and say that
I think it's worth saying, how's insulting his physical appearance like mean anything? Like, come on, bro. That is
and also
ridiculous. Man.
I don't know what video they're talking about, but if the video says it's okay if you like it, but here's all of the reasons why you're stupid for liking it or why you shouldn't like it, then it doesn't matter what you said at the beginning. So we can say at the beginning of this video, for example, that we're not here to criticize Rags and Mauler or Kinoflex. We're just reviewing the video and pointing things out about it.
Yeah.
Now that I've said that, we can't be criticized for responding to this video.
We are criticism immune.
There's some what I really mean is something that's completely opposite to something that I stated.
Yeah, it's pretty frustrating because this is the thing. This is the core of what you could call me and Rags is like the way we assess in general. So like this isn't just art, or this is like our day-to-day. We'll break up what things are happening versus how people are feeling about the things. You know, information is really important, and then how people feel about it is really important. And so to just say Rags and Mauler, they go about their lives thinking that they're better than everyone else because they have better playing fields in which they have a bit. It's just like, fuck you, man.
And I guess we'll have to keep restating it over and over because people like Quentin will keep taking it out of context, or they'll just make shit up like he does here in a malicious way. It is really easy to get it, but we'll keep saying it over and over. You can feel however you want about anything. You can feel whatever you want to feel about The Last Jedi or The Predator or Jurassic World or frickin' Mary Poppins. It doesn't matter. You can feel however you want, and we can never take that away from you, and you're not wrong for feeling a certain way.
Everyone else's. Or to put it like he likes to, his opinions are objective.
No.
Let's be honest, Rags. An opinion can be objective. It is possible.
And an opinion. It's true. It's not the way he means, but
no, of
yes,
course.
an opinion can be objective, but it is not objective because it is someone's opinion.
If I say, in my opinion, the sun is a star, is that objective or is that my feelings? How does
that's not an opinion. You can say that in your opinion, but that's weird. That's not an opinion. So that's a terrible example.
The correct way to phrase that, in my opinion, I believe the sun is a star, because it's the belief that makes it an opinion. It's but all of that was just slimy sort of
like this whole clip, that is an extended clip, I guess, is supposed to prove that these guys don't pretend to be objective. But like, it just, like, it's not, number one, it's not clear on that. Well, it's them just saying,
what they're saying there is that our opinions are not objective, our facts are objective. That what they're saying is, this is a fact, it is not an opinion. It is an objective fact. The way we feel about these films is an objective fact, not an opinion.
Yeah, that seems to be what his argument is there, which is seems to go against their other argument, but
and kind of feels like the point that Quentin is trying to make. That they state their opinions as objective fact, and they're saying, no, we don't do that. We don't. They're not our opinions. They are objective facts.
Yeah.
So
that work?
Yes, it can be both. It is my.
Oh, it can be both. You're okay. Great. So essentially, they're saying, guys, our opinions aren't facts, but our opinions are facts. God, this double talk is ridiculous.
Opinion that 2 + 2 = 4. That's objectively true, but it's objectively true through mathematics. It's not objectively true
because you feel it.
I feel that way.
Exactly. Yeah.
So again, their arguments seem to be, we aren't objective. Our opinions aren't objective, but they are objective. That's their argument here. I don't know what Kinoflex thinks he's proving with this clip, but it's not what he thinks.
That's
can be overlap.
The simple deconstruction. You're not going to catch me and Rags saying, in my opinion, The Last Jedi has inconsistencies, because it's provable. We don't need to say it's our opinion.
Oh, okay. So The Last Jedi is objectively bad. I remember covering a lot of
Bob.
stuff
It is objectively inconsistent. You see, this is where their entire thesis breaks down, because it might be inconsistent, but that does not make it a bad film.
Yeah.
It does not make it an objectively badly made film. It just means that it has inconsistencies. Now, what you have to do in order to sort of prove your weight as an objective critic is prove that those inconsistencies ruin the film. And you can't do that because people enjoy the film regardless of those inconsistencies. So it is just an opinion.
Mm-hmm.
It's an opinion based on what you feel a film should be. In the same vein that I could say, I believe that all films should have the color red in them. And the more red that is in a film, the better it is. So I can then go, objectively, this film with lots of red in is good because it has a lot of red in. This film with no red in is bad, objectively, because that's the criteria I judge it on. Now, obviously, I'd be flippant there. Story tends to be more important than the color scheme, but not always.
And everybody knows green is the correct color to have in your film, not red.
We can demonstrate this regardless of what our opinion is. It's just that our opinion happened to line up to something that we can objectively show and demonstrate.
But what he's...
Oh my God, that is 100%. So it's completely what they're doing. Like, this clip is supposed to be proving that they aren't objective, but this clip is them saying, hey, we're saying we aren't objective, but we actually are objective. Holy shit. I don't know what he thinks this clip proves, but it is not what he thinks.
What he's selling here is that me and Rags will literally like watch a film, go, I didn't really enjoy that much, and then he's like, oh, so it's objectively a bad film, and we'll be like, what?
I understand that was a long clip, but it's necessary to include so we can properly flesh out Mahler's stance, because despite this video being presented as a refutation towards him and his ideas, there is a whopping total of 0 clips or statements from him included in this response, which is pretty egregious considering this is how the video is presented. I'm going to be completely honest. This entire video is pretty much garbage from beginning to end, because it becomes instantly redundant when you watch the first part of Mahler's Force Awakens review, where he dedicates an entire section explaining exactly what he means by reviewing something objectively. If you're making a video like this and you're...
okay. God,
again, this is...
give me a headache.
This is where Mahler's idea of objective criticism falls apart, because he states things about The Force Awakens that are simply not true.
Yes.
And I think we've seen this demonstrated in a couple of videos. I know there's a hypocrite video which contrasts everything he says about The Force Awakens, the Rey character, with clips of it proving the opposite. So, for example, he claims that Rey is a perfect character, despite the fact that in the film she's seen making mistakes. And so, to say that The Force Awakens lays out where he says that he objectively sort of proves that Rey is the character that he says, ignores the context clues within the film. So, let me see if I can find it for you.
I'm probably pretty close to it. EFAP? Is it the EFAP one?
It might be. It might not be. Let me have a look here. Let's have a look here, because there's a couple of EFAP ones.
Okay.
Um,
I'm only seeing the one EFAP one. Is there another one?
Let me have a quick look. Let me skip through. Right, if you go to Star Wars is Dead Again, what's Mauler doing there? And I think it's about 325.
I'm looking for that video title. I'm probably looking right over it.
First ones.
Star Wars is Dead Again?
No, yes, Star Wars is Dead Again.
Am I going insane? Oh, there it is. Okay. What's more? Okay.
Yeah. And then 325, 6-ish.
Mm. We might keep this one on cue because this might be fun.
Yeah, about here.
Oh.
Her literal flaws are she wants to find people to love and give her guidance.
Who is she? She's beautiful.
The same as her father.
I wish I'd known him. I want to learn the ways of the Force and become a Jedi like my father.
She believes in the good of people even if they are evil.
I know there is good in you. The Emperor hasn't driven it from you fully.
There is nothing wrong with this heavenly creature. No hardship or cross she has to bear.
Yeah.
Objectively, no hardship.
Yeah, no hardship. Have you seen The Force Awakens? Are you serious? Like, hell, man, there's hardships in the other ones, but like The Force Awakens is pretty, like, you know, clear on, like, she struggles in her life, man. She struggles.
Well, this is what I wonder as well. I wonder if Mauler's reviews are constructed in such a way that the opinion stuff is all the stuff that can be proved or has already been proved wrong, and the objective stuff is all the stuff people haven't proved wrong yet. So he gets to have his cake and eat it.
Mm-hmm. Oh, Paul is bringing up, yes, I did see that there's a Harry Potter teaser trailer that came out. I need to look up when it's coming out, because when that comes out on the podcast, we need to cover Sense8, because we're not covering Harry Potter anymore. Because it's just a transphobe, so we're covering trans-friendly stuff on when that stuff comes out. But yes, I did see it dropped.
She's not greedy.
60 portions.
Prideful.
We need a pilot!
We've got one!
Self-centered.
I've got to get back to Jakku.
Back to Jakku! Why go back? You got a family? Got a boyfriend?
None of your business, that's why.
Emotionally stunted.
But I have to get home.
Jakku?
I've already been away too long.
Emotionally unstable. Selfish.
But I have to get home.
Reckless.
I can do this. I can do this.
Overconfident.
You might need this.
I think I can handle myself.
I know you do. That's why I'm giving it to you.
Naive.
You got a lot to learn.
Blinded by love.
Whoever you're waiting for on Jakku, they're never coming back.
Womanizing.
What in heaven's name are you talking about?
She is perfection while going through no hardships or tough lessons.
That was a pretty tough lesson, if you ask me.
Yeah, no, that's pretty twisted. Like having her all locked up, that's fucked up.
You need a teacher!
that's it. I think for the Mauler stuff.
That's a pretty good edit by this Hippoclip fella. He's pretty good.
Yeah, go and watch his stuff. Yeah, so if that's Mauler's idea of an objective review of the character of Rey in The Force Awakens, then I got to ask, what film did he watch?
Yeah,
because, like I said, unless he's saying that those are his opinions, in which case his opinions are wrong, then his objective criticism is wrong because it's based on a foundation of him not understanding the movie. So
yeah, that's what it seems like.
Anyway, back to
not
this.
responding to this specific video where Mauler lays out his entire philosophy on a silver platter, then it's safe to assume that you aren't exactly approaching this topic in good faith and are just looking to virtue signal to an audience that already despises him and other critics like him.
I mean, objective art analysis doesn't exist. So, like, why do I need to watch an hour essay telling me some dipshit who thinks it does exist? It's arguing that, like, how can I prove the world is round when I didn't watch this hour essay proving that it's flat? Because it's fucking round. Because it's fucking...
Yeah, and if you could objectively criticize a film, which I don't think is possible, well, you can, but it's worthless. Like I said with the Red example, you could objectively criticize a film for being a certain thing, but that is not that's not criticizing the film, and that's not what Mauler does. He criticizes elements of the film that he thinks are objective, but are not. But if there is a definition of that, then you don't need to listen to his thesis. You see what the definition is.
Yeah, exactly.
I know what a review of somebody's opinion of a film is. I know what that is. I don't need to look at their thesis of how they give their opinion. It's their opinion. And he gives his opinion. He just uses a lot of $10 words to do it.
12 years of Rey.
I mean, she's literally on that planet on her own, abandoned by her parents, and he says she's faced no hardships.
I mean, add to it The Last Jedi, which actually adds like she thought like her parents like were coming back or something, and you find out that her parents left her there for fucking gambling money, which is like, holy shit, that is twisted. And then I guess Rise of Skywalker retcons that a bit, which I hate.
Well, yeah, but purely going off the context clues in Force Awakens, we know that she was left on that planet on her own as a small child. We are shown that. Perhaps we needed a line of dialogue where she says, "I have been through many hardships," and then we cut to a montage of hardships. Perhaps that's what Mauler really needs, a montage.
Yeah. You need to be objective, I guess.
But more importantly, he doesn't seem to understand the difference between facts and value judgments, which is the entire reason for why I'm even making this video. To point out that distinction and explain why it's perfectly reasonable to form and strengthen value judgments from established facts within a story when reviewing it.
When it comes to the exploration of reality through art, there is no distinction between what is true and false.
He starts off his video filleting some playwright named Harold Pinter, who looks as though he was dug up from some crypt to serve as an overarching authority he points to throughout his video. But it's ironic.
Right, stop it there. I will not.
Yeah.
Some playwright Harold Pinter. He's gonna be really annoyed when he sees the behind the scenes footage of the making of Mauler's short film, where one of the actors or the director describes Mauler as Harold Pinter-esque. Which
does he?
Yeah, it's hilarious, but also some guy-esque.
Yeah.
I mean, he's not to bother to look up who Harold Pinter is and to know his impact on theatre.
He's old. I don't need to look up anything.
I think at this point he was suffering either from cancer or another debilitating disease. This was shot within a year of him dying, I think. But yeah, not to call Harold Pinter some playwright.
Yeah.
And we talk about media literacy, and they hate it when you talk about media literacy. But here's an example of why it's important. Just a quick Google search of who is Harold Pinter, maybe.
Nah, let's just criticize him for his age.
because nothing he really says refutes Drinker or Mahler's approach to criticism that much, if at all. The playwright highlights the importance ambiguity can have on storytelling, which is not something either Mahler or Drinker disagree with.
Well, I mean, how can there be ambiguity in storytelling if it's all objective? Which seems to be their argument. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they love ambiguity, those two, don't they? They absolutely love it when something is not explained in detail, which is why they have never in any of their videos said, was that explained? Or why didn't they explain that?
They simply point out how ambiguity is not an excuse for a story suffering in its quality depending on how the ambiguity is executed, since it's a tool that can be both applied well and misapplied. A good example of this sentiment being expressed would be Mahler's praise for No Country for Old Men, which relies heavily on ambiguity.
But on the contrary, I had a very love-hate relationship with this film at first. Oh, is he going to say the thing that everyone who doesn't like this movie says?
Oh, you didn't like
I didn't like the ending.
Did he not like the ending?
I don't even know what people said about that, so I'm curious now.
Well, so, I mean, to explain what I'm trying to say before we read on, is that everyone who doesn't like No Country for Old Men, the first thing they'll say is, I don't know, that ending wasn't very good. The ending was bad. It was, you set up this whole plot of, hero versus villain, and then you have it all end off screen. I don't know about that. I don't know. I didn't like that. Really liked it up to then, but didn't like that. That's the thing. That's what everyone says. No mention of the intentions, the writing, the themes, obviously,
Listen, as somebody who I think No Country for Old Men is a great fucking movie, you're allowed to dislike it. That's part of the subjectivity of art. I think a lot of the stuff that isn't shown on screen, you can draw conclusions based on some clues they give, but at the end of the day, they also don't matter that much.
No, some people like ambiguous endings, some people don't. It's why we've got 1,000 video essays about how the thing actually ends. And they're all different because that's the purpose of it. But I mean, this is such low-hanging fruit as well. Everybody knows that No Country for Old Men has a subjective ending. Some people love it, some people don't. And that's fine.
What were you going to say?
That's it. I was just going to say that's fine. If you didn't like the ending, if the ending ruined the whole film for you, that's fine.
Yeah, no, I get it. It works for me, but I get it if it doesn't work for you.
Elements that the Coens are fucking is practically stitched into their artistic merit is that they subvert. That's like their whole thing. If you're going to watch them or Fincher, because we mentioned him recently, you should expect an ending that's going to throw you off.
Wait. Don't they criticize The Last Jedi all the time for subverting expectations? But then, they praise the Coen brothers for doing that. Is it a good thing or a bad thing?
Well, how does the audience feel? Fincher doesn't subvert the ending all the time. I mean, to be honest,
I'm actually trying to think. I think what they're obviously talking about is 7, which I don't even know if I'd necessarily consider that a subversion. It's a twist, but I guess
it's kind of
the same thing. But it's not out of left field.
No.
But yeah.
Fight Club isn't really a subverted ending. It sort of ends exactly how it's telegraphed to end. I mean the first time you see it, you might not see it coming, but the second time you see it, you can see it's not just little clues in there. It's heavily telegraphed.
No, actually, the first time I watched Fight Club, I did not enjoy it. And part of the reason I didn't enjoy it because I saw the ending coming. I was just waiting for it throughout that whole first watch. And it was annoying me because I was like, okay, it's the same dude. It's the same dude. I get it. And then they got to it, and I was like, yes, I know. And it felt like this big moment where I'm supposed to go, oh, but it's I already knew. And then the second time I watched it, I actually absorbed what it was telling me instead of kind of judging it for the ending that I already figured out. Instead, I just let the story tell me the story it wanted to tell. And I enjoyed it so much more that way. I interrupted.
No, that's fine. I was just going to say, I feel like this is why M. Night Shyamalan has become a bit of a whipping boy, because the only time he successfully manages to incorporate a twist that actually works outside of knowing what the twist is The Sixth Sense. It's the only film you can watch again having knowing about the twist and enjoy it probably just as much.
I'd argue Unbreakable. I don't know.
Yeah, to a degree, although that twist it's not as much of a twist. You know, if you know what
True.
I mean. Like,
true. Yeah.
It's set up a little more in the film. It's unexpected, but yeah, it's but yeah, like The Sixth Sense, I would say, is the only film where M. Night Shyamalan actually got it right, where he made a good film with a twist rather than making a film with a twist.
Yeah. I for me, The Village is the big one where it's like that twist was like another one where I was like, I saw that coming, guys. Come on.
Well, apparently he did it in his second film as well, the one he made just before Sixth Sense. He does a little twist in it, which is kind of obvious, and it's exactly what you would think it would be.
Okay,
that's what always happens.
Yeah, I will say, like, maybe this is partially in Stuckman's defense, but like the first time I watched No Country for Old Men, I overall liked the movie, but I didn't like the ending. And then as I rewatched it, now it's one of my favorite movie endings of all time, because I understand now what it was doing. Sort of at this illustration of a man who feels so out of place, and feels like the world is sort of evolving without him. He has no guiding marker. He has no mentor. And as a cop, it's like crime is evolving to this point where it's just like, I don't even know what to do, how to behave.
Yeah, he's used to small town stuff. He's getting this huge, violent, and intricate, like all kinds of insane shit happening. He's not ready for. It's not the world he belonged to. It's an amazing film. Honestly, we should praise it more when we get the chance on.
And of course, the
EFAP.
subversion of you build up Anton as this unstoppable, like almost supernatural force that's pursuing Josh Brolin, and you're so focused on that it almost makes you forget about the other people who are also looking for the money, to where it's like, oh shit, yeah, like he's dead because there were other people who were trying to get him. And of course he is, because what chance did he really have of succeeding here when he had this many people gunning for him? Like that's a bold choice. It's very common.
None of that is ambiguous, though. It may be
no.
The ending might be unsatisfactory. If you wanted something sort of more wrapped up, but it's not ambiguous.
No, the like, yeah, they're talking about like Tommy Lee Jones and how like he's not quite able to connect everything, which is that's where the title of the movie comes from. But also like, you know, how like all these people are gunning for them, and yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, you know, Josh Brolin doesn't. Spoiler for a fucking 20-year-old movie that's excellent. Josh Brolin doesn't make it. Anton Chigurh, his ending is again debatable, but it's pretty clear to me he's not going to make it much longer either. But yeah.
Yeah, so it's a weird one to pick as an example of them talking about a film with an ambiguous ending, because it's not ambiguous. It's just incomplete if you wanted the story to be completed.
Yeah. Like if you want to see Anton Chigurh die, you're not going to get that. But he is fucked up at the end of that movie. Holy crap.
It's very subversive.
Well, I love the POV of Tommy Lee Jones's character entering the final battle post-battle and just being like, what the fuck has happened here? Jesus, this is insane. How is this even happening? I'm not ready for it. Like, all of it comes so into focus.
And then, of course,
it's changing.
The fact that Anton is defeated by bad luck, potentially defeated by it, because we don't know for sure, but that the person who's been this incredibly calculating operator throughout the whole film, incredibly precise, seemingly
the
unstoppable.
world's in his control almost, but then
car crash, because the world is not in your control. The world is.
I mean, I'll be honest, like they're praising it, but this seems like the typical thing they would criticize, like, you know, just a random car crash takes him out pretty much.
Yeah, what a coincidence.
Yeah, just a coincidence.
How convenient.
I feel like if that happened in a Star Wars movie, they'd be like, oh, this is shit.
Well, not only that, but what occurs to me watching this is that they couldn't just talk about the film. They had to talk about other people's opinions of the film that they disagree with.
That's interesting too, yeah.
Why not just review what you thought of the film rather than saying, oh, look at this idiot's opinion of the film. He's wrong.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Ran a stop sign.
Unpredictable. Yeah.
So it happens when you're on a.
I also want to point out, like, we've been debunking a lot of the stuff Mahler been saying Mahler and EFAP have been saying in these clips. Kinoflex has said almost nothing He definitely hasn't made any points, and we're 10 minutes in, and you'd think you'd make
I mean, he's
a point at least. And
he's barely showed any of Roughest Drafts video. Check out Roughest Drafts. He's got some good videos up there. Like I said, most of it is sort of reviewing poetry, but he does a lot of he throws in the odd pop culture video, which is very good as well. So check him out.
Oh, nice.
Stop sign in a suburb.
Even if you rely on ambiguity in your story, that doesn't make it immune to objective criticism or analysis, because stories open to interpretation still have factual elements within the story along with meaningful communication aimed at the audience to establish what's even going on. But what's
Pause
weird
it there.
Yeah.
I've sort of struggled with this idea. Does it though? I mean, if you're looking at the world of a film, is that world a reflection of our world, or is it's entirely its own world? So something like Star Wars, for example, we know that that's a galaxy far, far away. We don't know what the rules are there. In any case, I mean, they've got things that defy physics.
Yes.
You've got explosions in space and etc.
I mean,
so that's clearly not.
I know the Chud community hates this, but like they are literal space wizards in Star Wars. They are space wizards. I don't know how else to describe them. That's what they are. They can do magic.
So evidently that's in a different world. But then, like I said about that example of the Las Vegas TV series, that's not set in our world because Jean-Claude Van Damme didn't die that way in our world. So that is also set in its own world. And I think you have to enter watching a film with the idea that just the concept that this isn't taking place in our world. It's not a documentary. It's a story, and it's a fictional story. Therefore, whilst a lot of the rules may apply, some rules may not. And I think the problem comes when there's too much of a break between reality and fiction. Under certain circumstances. And again, this is all up to individual review of the film. So it's kind of mind-bending to try and sort of quantify that. But I think you have to not apply it to real world, because the other thing that the EFAP do a lot is that they think that something wouldn't happen in the real world when actually it would, but they have no understanding of it. I mean, we talked about their review of Black Panther 2 when they say that how did the what's the racist not the Atlanteans, but how did they build cities underwater? It's like we know how to build underwater. That comes from a lack of their understanding. It's not the film's fault that they don't understand something.
No, I have a specific clip about that I think is interesting. Let me dig it up. I should probably make this easier.
Well, while you're looking for that, there was in my brain's gone. Pillar of Garbage video where he's talking about the third Knives Out film, Wake Up Dead Man. He's got a clip of Drinker and Mauler discussing it, and Mauler says that they would have discovered the poison in a toxicology report, so the whole film is useless. And Pillar points out that no, actually, in reality, it can take weeks for a tox report to come back if one is even ordered, because they're not always ordered if the cause of death is obvious. And the fact that he got stabbed and bled out would seem to be the cause of death. So they might not have even done a tox report. But of course, Mauler doesn't understand that. And so he says that is a problem with the film, whereas actually it's his problem of the understanding of what the film is actually doing, which is accurate. So if you come in from a point of ignorance and you say, this film is wrong because it did this thing and it shouldn't have, when in reality, that's exactly how it should have done it, and you're wrong, then objective criticism also goes out the window.
Yeah, absolutely. And hold on. I should separate this clip because this clip comes relevant every once in a while. Not sure if it's this far out. Oh, it might. Oh God, it's probably one of these. Hold on.
I've run out of things to say at the moment, so I'm struggling to.
It's all good. It's all good. I think dead air is good for us.
Everybody loves dead air.
Oh, it's the best part of the show. Come on.
But yeah, as just to reiterate, that's exactly the problem. The other problem with trying to be objective is that you have to make sure your facts are correct. And so if you're factually incorrect about something that you pin your reputation on as being objective about, then it all falls down.
Okay, so here's a bit of their critique of the show Terriers, which I've not really seen a whole lot of, but just watching this, I knew it was immediately wrong.
Like our private detectives?
Well, on our tax returns, it says we sell seashells by the seashore, but we moonlight a bit.
Mr. Lindis
So he's just admitted under oath that he lies on his tax forms.
Him and Ellen are not. Well, no, he says we sell seashells by the seashore. He's joking.
Well, I mean, all he's saying is, so it says on our taxes that we sell seashells by the seashore.
Yes, it is illegal. It is
That's a
illegal
lie.
to lie on your tax.
And all the people in that room know they're lying.
But that's not what they're actually putting on their tax forms, though.
No. So you lied under oath, then?
Is that actually going to fall under oath? Is that actually going to fall as a lie under oath, where you just simply make a joke like that?
Remember, even Gustafson was like, "Oh, for fuck's sake."
So that's just them complaining because they're saying, "Oh, he literally put seashells by the seashore." When obviously, no, he's not going to put that on a fucking tax form. But then they're like, "Oh, well, then he's lying under oath." It's like, no, he's telling a joke under oath. And and something especially like that, a clear-cut joke, the worst thing they'll say is, "Okay, keep it serious." But fun fact, I've been in court before. I've told jokes under oath. It's allowed. It's not a big deal. And like I said, the worst thing they'll say is keep the jokes down. That's it.
Yeah, because what you say on the oath is, "I swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth." But that doesn't mean you have to tell them everything. It doesn't mean you suddenly have to confess to every wrong thing you've done. It's if you're asked a direct question, you have to answer it honestly. And so him saying that, if that is what he puts on his tax returns, then he's telling the truth. If not, then if not, they could charge him with if they wanted to, they could in theory charge him with perjury. But that is not something they're likely to do.
No,
because
it'd be a waste of time and resources.
Yeah,
it's a clear-cut joke. It's not worth it. But yeah, that. Believe it or not, EFAP are not always right, unlike what they always say.
I don't think this guy was even necessarily of the opinion that ambiguity is an absolute defense against criticism depending on how it's applied, considering he still held himself to standards to ensure that the ambiguity was executed in a way to complement his stories from what I've read about him.
So was this based on the available records of his video, on his views, on language and directing, Harold Pinter. So is this an AI?
This is an AI response, yeah.
Okay, fine. Harold Pinter did not explicitly deny that ambiguity can be used incorrectly, but he strongly implied that it must be handled with precision, rhythm, and structural intent, rather than being mere sloppiness or approximation. While Pinter is famous for his use of ambiguity, he argued that his plays are not merely chaotic, they are meticulously constructed.
I don't see how that supports his point.
I don't see it all either. But also it's AI, so I'd call it into question as well. But
yeah, and I think what my view of what Roughest Drafts was saying is that ambiguity shouldn't really be used for sloppiness. But if you criticize something for ambiguity, you better be damn sure that the ambiguity is universal and is also bad.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think you can do that objectively, because as we've seen, if you want to say that the end of No Country for Old Men is ambiguous, some people like ambiguity and some people don't. So
yeah, so still not objective, even if it's ambiguous.
He even said to not rely on it in a story if it doesn't make sense. But even if this wasn't the case, I still don't see how that proves the argument that objective criticism in the arts doesn't exist, because it would be a
that's not what he was trying to do. He
is
wasn't
that
trying
his
to prove.
argument? I don't think that was his argument. I don't mean.
No, he wasn't saying that clip proved anything. That was just the beginning. That was his opening statement.
Yeah.
Contradiction that undermines itself on both fronts. If your argument is simply your subjective personal preference, then it doesn't disprove anything. But if your argument is objectively true, then objective truth about criticism does exist. So how can you possibly be correct when your own argument collapses on itself?
There are multiple possible interpretations of any given piece of art. Each interpretation can stand up to different levels of scrutiny, and different interpretations may clash with authorial intent, but that does not necessarily make them outright false. I think a good example would be Mulan. One reading of the film would be that women can do anything men can do, especially when given the same resources and instruction to succeed. Another reading would be that Mulan is an allegory for the trans experience, particularly in her musical number, "When Will My Reflection Show Who I Am Inside?" It is only when Mulan experiences gender from a different lens that she finds herself. Both of these readings are valid. They both stand up to some level of scrutiny regardless of what the writers behind Mulan intended. And the reason both of these readings are valid is because of the power of subjectivity. A trans person who watches Mulan would probably experience the film from a different subjective lens than I would. Both myself and this trans person would bring different outlooks to the film when it came time to interpret, and that's okay. One reading might have more evidence behind it, but that's not to say that either interpretation is unvaluable. Both have value in their own way.
So this...
Okay, before we even get to that like, I actually never even thought about trans read of Mulan, but I can definitely see that. Like, yeah, like, and I don't even think the trans read is authorial intent at all, but like, I definitely see how it exists. And it's one of those things. I feel like these chuds haven't actually done essays on movies or art even. Like, you can pull things that aren't authorial intent as long as you have evidence within the text that backs up your point, as long as you do the proper research. It's completely reasonable.
Yeah, and that's basically what sort of any film studies course sort of gets you to do.
But yeah, I don't know what his debunk would be for that. That's pretty basic.
Yeah.
Argument has to do with death of the author, which is a concept I agree with to an extent, considering there are instances where someone can understand a work better than even the author themselves. But where
I don't think
it's not understanding it. It's having a different read from a different perspective. It's not.
Yeah, it's a different interpretation.
Yeah,
and it's not death of the author in that sense, because you're not saying that essentially what. I guess you are saying whatever the author says it is doesn't matter, but that's not the point that was trying to be made. It's like you said. It's people take different things away from a film. So 100 people see a film and they'll come out with 100 different reads of certain scenes. They'll favor certain scenes. They'll dislike different scenes, and it's very rare that any two people will align 100% on something, which is why it's no great metric of how good a film is or how much you will enjoy a film, I should say.
Differ is this idea that the author's interpretation is always invalid, or that all interpretations are equally valid because...
Okay, nobody's argued that the author's interpretation is invalid. Nobody's argued
nobody is.
Straw man.
Also, as you said before that, it's also not saying that all interpretations are valid.
Yeah.
That's just simply not the case, with the trans Mulan interpretation being a good example of a bad interpretation. The entire story of Mulan...
I mean, it's about a woman who puts herself in the shoes of a man and dresses as a man. I feel like it's been a long time since I've seen the animated Mulan, but I feel like that's a pretty valid read. I feel like that you definitely have that. It's like Jadzia Dax in Deep Space Nine. There's a trans allegory there, even if it wasn't intended.
Yeah, and there may be parts of the story or parts of the text that contradict a solid trans reading, but then stories don't work like that. I mean, we know that, for example, with The Matrix, the Wachowskis have sort of retroactively said it's a trans allegory. And that they weren't specifically writing that at the time, but then subconsciously it also works as a trans allegory, and you can read it that way.
I remember one of the elements from The Matrix they talked about that they changed I don't remember if the studio forced him or what, but one of the elements that the Wachowskis changed, I believe it was the character Switch was supposed to be a woman in the Matrix, but in the real world, when they go to the real world, it's supposed to be a man.
I think it's the other way around, but it doesn't matter.
The other way around, okay, but yeah, it's the same way, messaging essentially. Yeah,
they were going to have a male play the character in or out of. Yeah, they were going to have two different actors play it, and Warner Brothers wouldn't go for that that much. So they made somebody who looks sort of ambiguous, I guess you would say.
I guess.
Yeah. And called Switch as well.
Yeah. Jeez. I didn't even think about the name. Yeah, it makes it obvious. Yeah.
Is about the titular female main character embracing the fact that she is a woman while living in a patriarchal society who can accomplish feats as a woman despite being different compared to the men.
Yes, that is the main read from the movie. That's obviously what the author is going for. It doesn't mean the trans read's invalid, though.
Can you just wind that back, though? Because I want you to think about what he's saying now, but imagining it is a trans allegory completely. Just that little section.
That's just simply not the case, with the trans Mulan interpretation being a good example of a bad interpretation. The entire story of Mulan is about the titular female main character embracing the fact that she is a woman while living in a patriarchal society who can accomplish feats as a woman despite being different compared to the men.
I knew there was something wrong with you.
Does that sound like it could apply to a trans woman?
It definitely feels like it could apply. I also feel like one of his arguments, maybe this is a mystery, but I feel like his argument is almost like there's only one correct read of a movie, which isn't true. Like, if as long as you can pull up evidence from within the text, you can have a valid read of media that isn't authorial intent or at all. As long as you have the evidence in the text, you just need, that's the most important thing.
And I think he presented the argument there that it could be a trans allegory, because if you say that Mulan is a trans woman living in a patriarchal society, living as a trans woman despite being different, I mean, everything he said there could equally apply to a trans woman. So I can't believe he's debunked his own argument.
Yeah, he debunked himself. What are we supposed to do? Cherry here. Kinoflex doesn't seem to have a strong grasp on metaphors. There's no reason why a film that isn't about a trans character can be a metaphor for the trans experiences. Absolutely.
A woman!
Even though she dresses up as the opposite sex, she doesn't question her biological sex or thinks that she's not a woman. So the idea of it being
not necessary for the read.
No. That would be explicit. That would be an explicit reading.
Yeah.
Rather than an implicit reading.
Allegory is such a nonsensical statement, especially since what she was doing is cross-dressing, not trying to become a man. If anything, someone can come along and argue that's more in line with an anti-trans or detransitioner interpretation, since the message is all about feeling free to express yourself how you are in the body you were born with. And you can't just respond by...
I don't think he understands how to do these reads. Like, when somebody does a read like that, you look at the evidence, you see if you look at the evidence within the text, you see if the text backs it up, and then, like, it's a valid read. That's it. Like, that's all it needs. This guy doesn't understand art.
The whole trans allegory as well can be you can ignore the dressing as a man or a woman part of it if you look at the bit about her wanting to be her true self. That is the trans experience of wanting to be her true self in a society that doesn't accept her as her true self. That is the easiest trans reading, and it's really weird that anybody could proudly proclaim that oh no, it doesn't count because she only dresses as a man.
I like Cherry here. It's nonsense that this metaphor isn't literal. It's like, yeah. Who would have thought?
Saying, oh, well, it's just another difference of interpretation, because these two interpretations are at direct odds with each other. So how can you say...
Yeah, because they're different people's interpretations. That's what an interpretation is.
Yeah, I don't...
Well, this interpretation can't be right because it's different to this interpretation. Yes,
I mean,
that's what it...
Holy shit, I think he's proving art subjective for us, so... shit.
Possibly. I mean, I do wonder what he might make of a film like The Crucible, which is, or the play, and I always go back to that because it's the best example of a story that is explicitly an allegory about the HUAC hearings. It's specifically about the communist witch hunts in the guise of being about actual witch hunts. And so would he watch that film and say, well, this has got nothing to do with communism or Hollywood, because none of the characters in it even mention films. This is set even before Hollywood existed. Would that be his read of that film?
Possibly. I think it would have to be using his definition, actually. So yeah, it would have to be.
Which one is correct over the other. Obviously, you contrast them with the actual story to see which one is more accurate. No interpretation is completely unvaluable, but that still doesn't mean that you can't.
You still need evidence within the text. You can't just make shit up. You need evidence within the text to back it up. That's a key element you guys seem to forget. You seem to be like, oh, you have this read, but you know, you can just say whatever and call it a read. No, you can't. I like it. This is kind of what I talked about with Mahler trying to say the main theme for The Last Jedi was resurrection. It's like, where do you see that in the text? That doesn't really, like, there isn't a main theme of resurrection in The Last Jedi about resurrection. There is about failure, very clearly about failure.
Evaluate one to be better than the other using facts and evidence found in the work you are interpreting in the first place. If you were to have an idea of an original trans storyline while watching Mulan and use that as inspiration, that'd be one thing. But you're making a claim about the movie that just isn't true.
We should avoid buying.
You've not proven that at all.
Or an idea of an absolute view of reality.
What I said was true. From a certain point of view. That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
Okay, then you can just have a hierarchy or a system equivalent to it when it comes to the accuracy of an interpretation of a work.
Just to hammer this point home a little further, another good example of what I'm talking about is My Life Had Stood a Loaded Gun by Emily Dickinson. When my teacher showed my class this poem for the first time, she presented us with 6 possible interpretations and basically had us weigh them against each other. This could potentially be a poem about man's relationship with God, a poem about slavery, a poem about the process of writing and creativity, a poem about masculinity, a poem about fighting in a war, a poem about sexuality and pleasure, and those are just 6 possibilities out of many. And the thing is, I don't think we can pin down any definitive reading.
Why not? Like I said, you can simply weigh these interpretations against.
The thing's built to be ambiguous, bro. Like, no, you cannot pin down a specific reading. That's the point.
Yeah, and there's I mean, the fact that the Roughest Drafts does talk about poetry so much kind of falls into that, because a lot of poetry is ambiguous in its nature, specifically designed to be.
Yes,
it's a lot of it is designed to be about is about interpretation. It's how it touches you rather than what it means. There's a lot of it that's not, but
as each other to see which one is the most aligned with the actual poem, but you're simply unwilling to do that because you don't want to invalidate another person's opinion.
I mean, okay, don't want to invalidate another person's opinion. So okay, so I'll go ahead and go over this poem real fast. Okay, like because I just did a cursory read of it when he was presenting it, and it's like, yeah, this is ambiguous on purpose. My life had stood a loaded gun in corners till a day. The owner passed, identified, and carried me away. And now we roam in sovereign woods, and now we hunt the dock. Or the doe. God, it looked like
the doe.
The doe. And every I said dock, I was like, that doesn't make sense. Every time I speak for him, the mountains straight reply, and I do not smile such cordial light upon the valley glow. It is as
Vesuvian,
thank you. Face had its pleasure though through. And when at night our good day done, I guard my master's head. 'Tis better than the elders' ducks. Deep pillow. I did.
Sorry, I did.
Yeah, you're right. That is an I. Deep pillow to have shared. You can tell I've never read this before. 2 of his foe. I am deadly. I'm deadly foe. None stir the second time. On whom I lay a yellow eye, or an emphatic thumb. Though I than he may longer live, he longer must than I, but I have the power to kill without the power to die. You're going for an objective fucking read of this. Are you fucking serious? Are you?
And if you want an objective read of it, which is the stupidest read,
yes,
it's a poem about a gun from the gun's perspective. That's what it is.
Apparently, mountains are talking too. If we're looking at this like that.
Well, yeah, let's not.
No.
But the literal interpretation of this, if you want a straight down the line objective thing about what this poem is about, it's about a gun written by the gun. But how can that be? Guns can't write. Yeah. They certainly can't write poetry.
It's almost like an objective read of this is fucking stupid.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna lie. Part of me almost wants to see him try.
So yeah, it's not about any of those interpretations, because I was terror for this in school, but I would try and literally interpret poems, which is the teacher hated. What's the poem about? Oh, it's about a loaded gun. Right, okay.
About masculinity, a poem about fighting in a war, a poem about sexuality and pleasure, and those are just 6 possibilities out of many. And the thing is, I don't think we can pin down any definitive reading.
Why not? Like I said, you can simply weigh these interpretations.
Please, I want to hear him try to pin down a definitive reading of this, please.
Is it just about being a loaded gun? Which
Hey.
is the stupidest reading.
Yes.
That's the least interesting. But you could read it that way. If you wanted to be literal about it, that's what it's about.
To see which one is the most aligned with the actual poem. But you're simply unwilling to do that because you don't want to invalidate another person's opinion.
There truly is no
Oh, so you're not even going to attempt a literal read. You're talking about, but you're not even going to attempt it. Bro, I was so excited. I want to see you attempt that shit. Because you know it's fucking brutal. Shit. So he's not even willing to prove his own point. Okay, cool.
accounting for taste in art. A person's subjective life experience is going to have an effect on the way they criticize a piece of art and on the way they interpret a piece of art. It's kind of impossible to separate interpretation from criticism.
Sure, you can't completely separate criticism from interpretation, but you can improve your interpretation to have better overall criticisms. It's the same underlying principle as education, where the goal is to refine a person's ability to interpret, analyze, and critically evaluate information.
Okay. Yes. Yeah. So learning how to properly analyze stuff. Yes, that is something you can learn in school. That doesn't mean like there's such a thing as objective criticism, though. Like, again, like you can still have your own interpretation. What you learn in school is how to refine that a lot of times, or maybe even learn there's not enough evidence in the text to back up your interpretation.
But Kino, have you considered that not all educators are the same and that some can be bad?
Sure, but that doesn't mean education is unnecessary or that we...
I mean, Kino, have you considered that some videos could be bad and that maybe you're making one right now? I'm just throwing that out there.
We disregard everything we're supposed to learn. How we respond to people repeating incorrect information is through critical engagement by asking various questions, determining where the faulty perspective came from, whose lens shaped it.
Okay, you have to prove it's a faulty perspective because, like, again, we're talking about a perspective.
Yeah, and I would say that while, and I hate making this disclaimer, but while in science there are no facts, there are also facts. And so from a scientific point of view, yes, you could say that this person's wrong if they think the world is flat. If they reject all the evidence that it's round and accept all the evidence that it's flat, even as spurious as that is. But we're talking about art here. So you cannot apply the same logic to art as you can to science.
Yeah.
Because if, like I said, if you do, it's just boring.
Yeah.
If you analyze a film by how good the lighting is in the film or how good the sound is specifically, not saying how well lit something is, but how good the actual lights are or how good the microphones they used are. That is objective. You can objectively say this would have been a better microphone to use, or this would have been a better light to use, or this was a good light to use, but that's useless.
Yeah, that's the driest review ever, too.
And how it aligns or conflicts with our own experiences. Evaluation always rests on some understanding of what the work in question is doing.
Yes, this is a video about objectivity in art, but it's also a critique of certain critics on this platform, people like Mahler and the Critical Drinker. I think the problem with a lot of objective critics is that they want to pinpoint a truth, but they aren't concerned with the search for truth.
Do you have...
That seems succinct.
Any receipts showing that this is what either of them believe? Or are you just making shit up out of thin air because that's easier to argue against?
I mean, you can watch their videos if you really want. I mean, Kinoflex, you've seen their videos, obviously. You know that they argue this. Well, they might not argue this verbatim, but it's obvious that's part of how they work.
Yeah, and like we were saying, you can say, if you want to look at something, whether something is true or not, you can say, oh, this part of the film couldn't have happened, therefore that is not true. But that is not trying to search for the truth, because truth in film happens through the storytelling. It's the performance. Do you believe an actor when they say, I love you? Or do you not believe it? That's the truth of that moment. Even though that actor doesn't love the character that they're saying it to, they are lying by definition. That's the truth of the scene. And that's where the problems come in. Something I don't think Kinoflex has quite considered.
No, I don't think he's considered a lot of things.
The answer is that he doesn't have any. So I took the liberty of asking both Drinker and Mahler that question myself.
Kinoflex. Drinker and Mahler, I'm working on a video and I want to know how you would respond to critics saying that you want to pinpoint a truth but aren't concerned with the search for it. What?
Pinpoint a truth?
I find it interesting they laugh at his question.
Well, yeah, they haven't got a clue. They don't understand it.
Yeah, the question is, it's like, the fuck are you even going for, bro?
I mean, I gave you the example there. When a character in a scene says something that we know isn't true because they're fictional characters, it is the truth of the characters, not the truth.
I'm concerned with the search for it. So, like, we're looking for whatever would back our preconceived notion of what's happening versus looking unbiasedly and just arriving at whatever truth there may be.
Well, that's one interpretation of it. Or is it like, I just want to make judgments about a film or whatever without providing sufficient evidence to back up my assertions? I mean, there's a lot of different ways to interpret that.
It just sounds like another way of saying...
No, there's not. There's only one way to interpret it.
That's true. That is the argument Kinoflex is making, yes.
Yep, you have to weigh which is the most credible based on that statement. And then, well, there's only one true interpretation.
And then, everything else gets flushed down the toilet.
Yeah.
And I'd just be like, well, I disagree. And I can't resist, having lived in a universe as a flesh human creature with the, perception of time being linear, that I understand how things are going to go because I've seen how things have gone. And I would say that me and Drinker have been pretty solid on predicting how things are going to go with certain films, but based on producers, writers, directors, and time and companies and studios, but that simultaneously we've been...
Really? How come, like I guess, like, Mahler, I don't think really does speculation videos, but, like, Critical Drinker's speculation videos are ridiculously easy to debunk. Like, they're laughably bad.
Yeah, and I mean, ignoring all the stuff that he just gets wrong, also, what do they mean by that? Because or what does Mahler mean? Predicting how good something's going to be? Because, again, that's subjective. So, again, he's admitting that he does think his objective opinion is the correct one.
Yes, he is.
Because if, say, let's take us back to 1982, and these two guys were around and they were saying that, The Thing is an abject failure, commercially and critically, it was a complete failure. Therefore, it is a bad movie. We fast forward 40 years and now it's beloved. One of the Critical Drinker's favorite films is Big Trouble in Little China, which, once you ignore all the wokeness that is in that film, also was a critical and commercial flop.
Yeah.
So if we're judging it by how well did the audience receive it, and how well did the critics receive it, and how well it did at the box office, by those three criteria, that film is a failure, and yet they wouldn't consider that film a failure. So that they just don't understand the question there at all. And like I said, what Roughest Drafts, it was pretty clear to me, was saying was they look for what is true in a film rather than what is the truth of that scene in a film.
Yeah.
Very wrong on a whole bunch of stuff, and we're happy to be like, wow, that's a great surprise. I'm really glad that turned out that way.
Yeah.
And vice versa. We've hoped. Fucking remember 28 years later, we're like, that trailer looks bitchin'. We got every reason to believe this is going to be an awesome movie. It was like, oh,
yeah.
Okay. And that's the thing.
Are they talking about 28 years later?
Yeah.
Yeah, that movie was pretty fucking solid in my opinion. Although I think Bone Temple was probably better, but I enjoyed those movies.
Yeah, but
I enjoyed.
Have you considered how well it did at the box office?
That is true. That is true. They did underperform, which is disappointing. But yeah, I mean,
as if they ever admit that they're wrong about something. I mean, you just got to look at Critical Drinker's Prey. Hated it going in, ended up having to say he enjoyed it because the audience loved it, but then still complaining about it in his review of it.
Still, even going back and like retitling his stuff. He did the same thing for House of the Dragon when that came out, when it became like they were ready to bash on House of the Dragon when they were like, oh, wait, we can frame House of the Dragon against Rings of Power. And that's what they did. And all of a sudden, all their stuff on House of the Dragon was more retailed, be a bit more favorable towards it. And
yeah, a tacit critical recommendation for a film that you said was going to be awful, and then you say, oh, it wasn't as bad as I thought it would be, is not a glowing recommendation or a mea culpa as far as I'm concerned. So.
No, it's not.
All I can say ultimately about any of that is just either you believe we're being genuine or you believe we're doing it for some other reason, and we can't really help you at that point. We can only tell you what we believe we're doing this for.
Yeah, ultimately, like we're the only people who know our own minds, and like we can't force you to accept any of that stuff. But yeah, I would say just go by our track records on like the consistent.
Oh shit, Drinker, you do not want people to go by your track record. Holy shit, man.
And see that we have with this stuff. If you're happy with that, then great. If not, well, then maybe you need to look for other people.
I don't think they view language in art as an ambiguous transaction, as an exchange between two.
Wait, what was that clip of him asking the question? What did that prove? Like, I feel like that was supposed to be a point, but it didn't prove anything. And
he wanted to ask them directly the question which Roughest Drafts was posing, but neither of them understood the question or the answer because it was completely out of context.
Yeah. So that the whatever clip you think that proved, whatever you think that clip proved, Kinoflex, no, it didn't.
Parties, I think they view language in art as a one-way delivery. For many critics of the critical drinker's ilk, they expect art, particularly movies, to deliver entertainment. And if it fails to do that, it's a bad work, no discussion.
Again, this is another instance of him making a claim without providing any evidence. So I took this as another opportunity to ask this question to the people being discussed, since he provided no evidence to support his characterization of the subjects in his video.
Okay.
Kinoflex, as additionally for Drinker, do you believe that if a movie fails to be entertaining, then it's a bad work? No discussion.
I mean, you look at their past reviews. That seems to be kind of the vibe they go off of.
Well, entertaining is a kind of broad term, because for me, a piece of art needs to be engaging, not necessarily entertaining. Like, I'd be engaged by something like Schindler's List, right? I wouldn't say I'm necessarily entertained by it. I'm not having the time of my life watching it.
So we're talking just nitpicking on words. So it has to be engaging, not entertaining. Okay, cool.
But I'm very invested in what's going on there. So
there's also, do they mean entertaining like just for me versus everyone, because of course if nobody on earth was entertained by a film, I'd be like, well, it probably failed. You know, like, but if we, you know, like, not necessarily
incorrect. It's incorrect.
Yeah, is that wild?
Because that presupposes that there is, again, some sort of objective standard. Where's his limit? If nobody enjoyed it, was it entertaining? Where's the threshold? 51% of people enjoying it?
Yeah, that's a good question.
What if nobody enjoyed it when it came out, and then a year later people enjoyed it?
Like, what if everybody hates it, but one person?
Oh, interesting.
Yeah,
1%.
Is that not even 1%?
Oh, not even 1%. No,
yeah.
one person.
Like, does that throw it all out? Like, what meant? Like, I feel like it's almost an admission that it's all subjective, right there.
Yeah.
Basically, it didn't. Everyone came away saying like, "Well, that was a waste of time." It's like if everyone does, like, well, that's unfortunate. I would actually be really curious to see that film if it's just like paint drying or something.
Yeah, and I think even then there's a discussion.
I mean, there are literal art films about the sort of thing he's talking about. There's a film of somebody sleeping. Andy Warhol made art films that were. I don't know if he ever did paint drying. Maybe there's a Warhol fan that can. But there are artists who have literally made films about paint drying, and people find them entertaining. Some people do. So, also, or rather, maybe they don't find them entertaining. Maybe they find them thought-provoking. Maybe you can enjoy a film and not be entertained by it at all, but enjoy the questions that it asks or the way it's presented, despite not engaging with it on an entertaining way. So, again,
wait, different ways to engage with a movie? What? Huh?
Why was it so unentertaining? Where did it go wrong?
Yeah, but I was also going to say, like, if I'm not entertained, but everyone else is, I'd be like, well, the film's doing something, I guess. That just prompts us to try and understand what happened, you know?
Oh yeah, so the people who liked Last Jedi prompted Mahler to look into The Last Jedi and decide, you know, what is he missing out on it, right? That's what he did. He figured out what he was missing out on Last Jedi, right?
Yeah, and I think even that like makes for the basis of an interesting thought process or an interesting discussion. Is like, well, I hated this thing, but the majority of other people really liked it. Like, okay, well, let's examine why that happened. Like,
have they ever done that?
Yeah, I can't think of a time they've ever done that, ever. I mean, you know, I don't know. I'm trying to think of times for me where that's happened. Maybe Wakanda Forever, because I'm not a huge fan of that movie, but you know, I have arguments as to why I dislike it. And if you like it, that's fine. There are positives to that movie, but yeah.
Well, I know shockingly, film critic Mark Kermode doesn't like The Big Lebowski, and he's tried to engage with it, and every time he has, he doesn't understand what people see in it, and I think that's really interesting. It's a very introspective thing to do, to say this film is beloved, but it doesn't click for me. But I can't think of a single time that these guys have done that.
Yeah, that's an interesting point.
In my reasoning, or is it just purely like a
well, let's also be real. If these guys dislike something like Big Lebowski, I don't think they would admit it because their fan base probably really likes that movie.
Reference thing or what? Yeah, because I think you and I have both encountered movies, not so much that we hated them, but more just like, okay, intellectually we know that they're well constructed, well acted, well written, all that sort of thing, but they're just like, we don't really care about them. Yeah, you know, one way or the other. It's just like, well, that's the emotional component of like, that film is good, I recognize that, it just didn't personally appeal to me. But that's fine. Like, we're still humans at the end of the day. We're allowed to have preferences in terms of.
Oh, wait. Is he making an argument for subjective criticism? That sounds like what he's doing right there.
What we enjoy. But then we can move beyond that to like say, well, okay, if I was to analyze this movie objectively, is it still good? That's the.
So yeah, again, arguing for objective criticism right there. Cool.
Then the other discussion you can have.
Yeah, 100%.
This is a video that's supposed to be a refutation.
I don't know what those clips are supposed to prove, but I don't think they prove what he thinks they prove.
No.
To their ideas, but the guy who made it has no idea what their ideas even are.
But entertainment too is subjective, obviously.
I mean, I hate to point it out, but the clips he's pulling, like he's asking Critical Drinker and Mahler those questions. The problem is the answers he's getting aren't debunking. You said this guy's called Roughest Draft.
Yeah, Roughest Drafts. Yeah.
I need to watch more of his stuff. He seems solid to me.
Well, I think the other pitfall that these sort of reply guys always fall down in is that they expect absolute specificity. So when he says entertaining, anyone watching this video will know what he means when he says entertaining. But no, Kinoflex demands that the response must be exactly fit the question. When I think it's just ridiculous.
Yes.
Fortunately, these types of critics view art through such a narrow lens that they don't truly engage with it. They don't want to search for truth. They simply want truth delivered to them in their preferred way. Now, at this point in the video, you're probably saying something like, okay.
Was that clip supposed to debunk him? Because he was making a valid point. Just saying.
Yeah.
Okay, but surely there are actual objective technical measures for art, right? And sure, for example, if a fiction writer uses improper punctuation, that's an objective technical error on their part. Or in the movie Lady Ballers, as Some More News' video on the movie points out, there's a moment at the very beginning of the film where we see a technical error in the use of eye lines.
Oh my god, the ramblings from this guy are completely unbearable. It may sound as though he's being reasonable at first, since he's saying that there are in fact some objective elements to art, but it's the complete opposite because he intentionally picks a really shitty example for the purpose of further undermining it, as if these are ever the lone reasons for why people who believe in objective criticism believe something to be bad. Lady Ballers as a film is garbage, but I sincerely...
Hey, props to Kinoflex for acknowledging it. Lady Ballers was crap.
Yeah. Well, at least there's that. But
yeah,
that again, he's completely missed the point of what Roughest Drafts was saying.
Yeah, well, I mean, Roughest Draft didn't even get a chance to finish his point. Yes, there are technical errors in movies
that you can say,
but there's more. You can dive into that. Yeah, more.
Yeah, and you can say that in certain circumstances, those errors are objectively bad errors, but it doesn't mean the film's necessarily bad. It doesn't really, but also sometimes those errors are done on purpose.
Yes.
Sometimes, even though they're not supposed to break the 180 rule, filmmakers do for a purpose. And this is the thing all about art criticism, is that any rule in art is then immediately pushed up against by a group of artists who will bend or break the rule. And if they do it successfully, it eliminates the rule. Like I said about the 180-degree rule. Almost all films stick to that rule, and you're not supposed to break it. But then some films do, and they do it very well. If you do it badly, then it creates a bad experience of watching. It's.
I think it's also worth noting, all films have technical errors. You want to dive into it, they will all have them. They're a part of filmmaking. Lots of times it's, how well can they smooth them over, essentially.
doubt most people who share those sentiments dislike it primarily because of a single technical error. I know for a fact that's not...
He didn't finish his point. He was just starting on it. Holy crap.
Why the guy bringing it up considers it to be bad. It's simply because it doesn't align with his politics. People who apply objective criticism typically point out many...
So wait, you're acknowledging it's a bad one, but then you're discrediting his opinion of it because it doesn't align with his politics? So now he can't judge a movie whether or not it's good or bad because of his politics?
Also, he wasn't making he wasn't giving an opinion on the movie Lady Ballers. He was pointing out it has a technical flaw.
Yeah.
More, if not bigger, objective flaws that are found everywhere within a piece of art, because countless things about art are capable of being objectively measured. You can objectively determine the number of frames an individual film has. You can...
Yes, but how do you judge a piece of art for the number of frames it has?
Yeah, what does that tell you about the film? And again, this goes back to what I said at the beginning. You can objectively judge a film based on how many frames it's got, but that's really stupid and really boring.
I love this AI generated image he's using too. I love how it's clearly not AI. You can tell by all the clear book titles on here.
Objectively determine the number of words a book has. You can objectively conclude whether a painting has been made using oil or watercolor. You can objectively determine
not all the time.
That's true.
You can't always tell whether. Usually it's quite clear, but you can use oils to look like watercolors. So again, that's what I was talking about with art. Somebody will have probably set out to make an oil painting look like a watercolor, and
in a film is graded with a specific color. You can objectively determine which chords a piece of music uses. The list goes on.
But these things by themselves are not objective criticisms. They're just facts about the movie. You have to analyze how they're used and how, again, lots of times analyzing how it's used has to do with your own personal reads on it. Why are they using those colors? Why are they doing X, Y, and Z? There's lots of nuance to this shit that he seems to be ignoring.
Yeah, and you might enjoy a way a film is color graded, but you also might hate the way it's color graded, and that is a subjective opinion. And using the objective criteria of the color grading, like I said, it doesn't tell you anything about the quality of the film, because the quality is subjective, or in this instance.
And I just want to address this. Asmongold debunked Birdman.
No.
I have not seen Asmongold's response to Birdman, but I'm pretty confident that he couldn't debunk his way out of a paper bag. So I'm pretty
well. He tried.
Birdman. I'm like,
he tried, and then Birdman debunked that video by pointing out.
I did see the Birdman debunking him for the second time, which is pretty funny.
Yeah, I mean that was a dunk of a debunk. Yeah. Asmongold doesn't seem to understand that when two numbers are different and one is the true number and you say the other number is the true number, you are wrong. So, but then Asmongold doesn't understand a lot of things.
Generally speaking, what is meant by a film being objectively well-directed is it being able to convey a lot of information clearly and quickly by establishing plot, character, tone, theme, and whatever else all at once.
Wait, it doesn't necessarily have to do it quickly. There's plenty of great movies that don't do that quickly, that take their time to develop.
Yeah, I mean, if this guy thinks that's objectively how you tell whether something is well directed or not, then explain Lawrence of Arabia to me.
Yeah.
I mean, would you say that David Lean is a good director? Because I probably would. But that film takes a long time to do everything it's doing.
Instead of only showing one aspect of storytelling at a time, or completely failing to communicate any of it effectively, which would be considered a failure since proper communication is key.
How's it going, guys? I just want to deal with this.
Well, I mean, it's also worth, off the top of my head, like, he's trying to say that, like, communication is key. What if you don't pick it up because you don't have the proper life experiences to pick up everything the filmmaker is saying, but someone else does? Who's correct in that case?
Or what if the intention of the filmmaker is to purposely do the opposite of that? What if they want it to be impenetrable?
Yeah.
I mean, if they've designed it to be confusing, then and you're confused by it, then they've succeeded.
Yeah.
Comment, and this isn't to pick on Matt, but just it's a good teaching point in regards to art and objectivity, and that art is objective. Matt says, I think in a way art is subjective. You're attempting to connect with another person emotionally through art, which is always going to be a subjective process. And to this, I disagree, because art is a form of communication. Communication would be impossible if we were incapable of referencing transcendent universals that exist outside of our mind. Me communicating to you right now would be impossible. What I'm saying would just be pure gibberish, and you wouldn't be able to understand me.
Just real quick, have a good day, Dane.
Yeah.
If forms of communication were relative, because we'd be only referencing things that are relative or subjective within our own mind. Yet when we communicate, we do generally understand each other. So therefore, I mean, art is the same way. Art is a form of communication. Therefore, art is referencing transcendent universals, and thus it's going to be reliant on objectivity in order to communicate properly. Otherwise, there'd be no point to making it. There'd be no point at all.
Absolute
Not necessarily. dude, like part of the point might be like that poem that was presented earlier. The point of that poem, like, is almost to get the person's read on it, because lots of times that person's read, especially on something like that, tells you a lot about the person and actually less about the piece of art. There are reasons to do, like, God, these arguments are so dumb. I feel my brain melting. I feel my
art is not about it's not about communicating. It can be that, and there's a lot of art that does do that, but it is also about emotional connections to something.
I mean, he seems to want to compare a work of art to like a text, and it's like they're not the same thing, bro. And it looks like he's wearing a Dream Theater shirt, which is really confusing me. It's like, holy crap.
We wouldn't be able to communicate anything. So art is objective.
At the same time, what's generally meant by good writing is creating an internally consistent story that provides both emotionally and intellectually satisfying setups and payoffs. Instead of
again, not true.
Yeah.
Films don't have to communicate a story. They can. And they usually do, like 99% of the time. But they don't have to do that.
Consistent where the conclusions are not based off of anything established earlier in the story. Tommy Wiseau can say that his movie The Room was meant to be a comedy, but it very clearly wasn't. This is by no means the all-encompassing statement.
No, but it is a great comedy, no matter what was intended. It is a fucking great comedy, although the sex scenes go on a bit too long. Aren't that fucking brilliant comedy?
How well does it communicate a story, regardless of how badly it's acted, though? Because that's the other thing.
Yeah.
Like you might have a film that communicates a story beautifully, but is acted terribly, or just looks horrible.
I mean, I think an argument can be made. The Room, like, it's not like that story is ambiguous at all. It is painfully easy to read. Does that make it good? No, obviously not, because it's terribly acted. The story is shit. I mean, even though it's very clear what's happening throughout the story and you're never lost, it's not good. It's so yeah, like, yeah.
Standard, but it's a start at the very least, which is preferable than just shrugging your shoulders and say that none of this can be figured out and that no film can ever accomplish bigger feats than something like The Room.
I mean, The Room is not impenetrable work of art. It's easy to figure out what he was going for. It just didn't work.
You are lying. I never hit you. You are tearing me apart, Lisa.
The very creation of art is...
I just want to say, brilliant delivery. No notes. Perfect.
To take a concept that only exists in the abstract and to try to turn it into something tangible and concrete. It takes skill to be able to create good art and to effectively shape the ideas in your head through the medium of your choice. The results can be measured both as art and as a display of verifiable technical skill. How we establish quality is by asking what the art in question was supposed to achieve, and how well it was achieved using all of these objective standards we have determined previously through trial and error.
He's so close there. He was so close.
So we can judge a piece of art based on what it was intended to, like what the author intended for it, and we can judge it based on that. And okay, but sometimes it might be reaching a level that the artist didn't intend, which happens quite a bit with art as well. There'll be plenty of like themes and ideas that are explored in a piece of art that the artist didn't intend, and those are equally valid as long as there's evidence within the text to back it up. Yeah, this is pretty much film school 101 stuff.
I mean, an example of this would be Vincent van Gogh. Would you consider him a good artist?
Yeah,
I think most people would. In his lifetime, he didn't manage to sell any of his paintings.
True,
so he failed at being an artist.
Failure, yeah.
He failed at communicating his ideas through his art. He failed at everything that Kinoflex has just said, and yet now we consider him one of the great masters. So, is he actually a good painter? Technically not, because the things he painted don't look enough like the things that they're supposed to be. His painting, but then again, you can tell his sunflowers are sunflowers, so maybe he is a great artist. But
his clocks are melting. Clocks don't melt.
No, that's Dali. That's Dali, I think.
Oh, am I brain farting? Oh shit.
Yes.
Ah, okay. Well, listen, people don't scream like that, okay? I'll get one of them right, okay? I'll get one.
You can act as though history had never occurred when it comes to the creation of the wheel, but anyone who knows history and refuses to play along won't lower their standards to pretend that you invented it instead.
But the thing is, the rules change all the time. What might be considered objectively good artistry in one day and age can change in as few as 10 years.
I mean, that's why objective art, you can't really judge stuff objectively.
No, and that's exactly
he's
what
proving it. Yeah, that's his exact point. But yeah, time will change it.
Exactly what I was saying about Van Gogh as well.
Mm-hmm.
Before he died, he wasn't considered a good artist.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I'll go ahead and talk about one of my favorite movies, and that's Silence of the Lambs. And there is kind of a derogatory idea behind it towards trans people, which very much is not intended by Thomas Harris. There's even lines of dialogue designed to kind of try to soothe that over. But that vibe is there with that movie, and it's absolutely not intended, but something that has become more topical as time has gone by. A similar thing could be said for Psycho. These are great movies, by the way, but as time has gone by and we view them through different lenses, it looks a little different.
There's actually this comment from a Critical Drinker video that I think puts it quite well. Quote, I say this as a longtime subscriber and fan. I think you're kind of wrong on the topic of themes. Before that, what I agree on. Themes aren't a get out of making a good film free card. Themes aren't a substitute for a good story. Themes aren't the same as narrative. What I disagree on, that film has an objective standard. I would rather say film has a collectively negotiated preference that is colloquially called good filmmaking. What makes one camera movement, distance, or lens type better than another? Nothing objectively, but rather the subjective effect the combination of composition, lighting, scale, and depth has as we traverse a story, or sometimes a non-story or an anthology. If it were objective, objections would more quickly be settled when discussing things like narrative or cinematography. I don't just mean in the YouTube sphere, I mean even among cinematographers and film historians, unquote.
This feels like a Critical Drinker fan who's trying to understand the flaws in a lot of his arguments.
I really want to emphasize that idea of a collectively negotiated preference. I think this is something that's true for pretty much all art forms, and again, it's something that changes decade after decade.
I want to point out two things about this comment he highlights. The first is that he completely disregards what the comment has to say about themes because he doesn't actually care about it for anything other than disagreeing with Drinker. And the second is that what he is describing is literally what everyone...
Evidence? That's one of the frustrating things about these guys. They just say stuff, but they don't provide any evidence. They just say it, and it's like, okay, what are we supposed to do with that?
What including Drinker means by objectivity. I know I can't prove this, but I would not be surprised if this guy saw how people use sophistry in debates thinking it was a genius tactic, when anyone with a brain sees it as a dipshit scrambling to not address a point they can't refute.
Wait, are you arguing against that comment? Because the comment seemed pretty reasonable to me.
Yeah, it was a reasonable take.
Mm-hmm.
So it'd be like, it was a lot of people. Well, hold on. I was like, what does that mean? Yeah.
I'm explaining it. So
Okay.
more people in 35 years than 2,000 years, that sounds like quite a lot of people. Is
Not
that fair?
necessarily, no.
Is that fair?
No, not really, right?
There's no such thing as a...
Let me look at that. That looks like Destiny and fucking trigonometry guy.
Yeah, I saw that debate. At one point, Kissing just shut down completely for about 6 or 7 seconds and refused to engage with Destiny's points. So I'll let you take.
I hear a lot of these words will be like, it was a lot of people.
Well, hold
I was
on.
like, what does that mean? Yeah.
I'm explaining it. So
Okay.
more people in 35 years than 2,000 years, that sounds like quite a lot of people. Is
Not
that fair?
necessarily, no.
Is that fair?
No, not really, right?
There's no such thing as a change that is too drastic too quickly.
I have no context for that clip, so I don't know what the point is.
Right, I can give you the context. Konstantin Kissing always says this. He's got this little phrase that he thinks is brilliant, where he says, in the last 25 years, there's been more immigration into Britain than between 1066 and 1950. And that's his big sort of thing to say, oh, wow, look how many immigrants are coming in now compared to like nearly 2,000 years of British history.
You mean when travel was significantly harder?
Well, yes. So his thing is that's a lot of people, and Destiny's point is it's not a lot, because a lot is a quantitative value that is nebulous.
Yeah.
Is it a lot of people compared with the previous 2,000 years? No, because the population of the entire globe in 1066 was about 500 million, and now it's 8 billion people.
Yeah.
And the population even in 1950 was 3 billion. So we've seen an increase of an extra 5 billion people in the preceding 75 years, compared with an increase of 500,000 to 3 billion. So yes, there's bound to be a lot more migration in the world when there are a lot more people.
Yeah, that's the other element I was thinking of.
Yeah, so that, and like you said, it's a lot easier to move around the globe now than it used to be, and a lot more people want to come to the UK because we speak English and we exported that to a lot of countries in the world. So there are many complicated reasons, so much so that you can't just say, well, that's a lot of people, and that was kind of Destiny's point.
I will also say the UK has a lot better healthcare than we do over here.
Yeah, but then so is a lot of countries.
True.
Because, well, everything changes. This is actually postmodernism. Now he's going to try and attack the very concept of unprecedented. Everything is unprecedented. Therefore, the word unprecedented does not mean anything.
Everything definitionally is unprecedented as you move forward in years. We have an unprecedented amount of technology, an unprecedented amount of energy generation, an unprecedented amount of
I think you might be confused about the meaning of the word unprecedented.
So it's a bit reductive to say, like, well, we have an unprecedented wave of whatever. There's unprecedented things happening definitionally every year forward into the future we go.
No, that's not true.
Listen, I have my objections to Destiny, but yeah, that unprecedented is kind of one of those revolving terms that changes as we go. It's unprecedented until it becomes precedent. It changes.
Yeah, and when people say unprecedented, I mean, the correct usage of the words would be to something that has never happened before and is so unbelievable that but having unprecedented numbers of people coming here, it's not unprecedented because the numbers have gone up every year since we started keeping records.
Yeah.
So it's never happened before, but then next year will never happen before. And then the year after that. And so you also have to weigh, is it a positive or a negative? And unprecedented levels of crime, well, they could be unprecedented low levels of crime or high levels of crime. So unprecedented on its own is a meaningless word that you just throw in to make people scared. And again, that's the point.
One of the most amazing things of arguing with anybody from your position is the extent to which they refuse to understand what words mean. I just explained to you repeatedly what unprecedented means. It means that...
Well, he just pointed out that unprecedented has a changing meaning.
That hasn't happened before.
Nobody who talks like this is ever interested in trying to find the truth. It's a strategy used to evade accountability towards their beliefs being challenged. The exact same tactic is being used here when it comes to trying to invalidate the idea of objectivity and criticism. What he's doing here is trying to argue that our standards of what we consider to be good and bad art is socially constructed, so that automatically invalidates it somehow. But just because something is a social construct does not mean it is not objective. For example,
have we considered the fact that Kinoflex might just be an idiot?
Possibly, yeah. It's a possibility.
I mean, holy crap. I'll be honest. I think we're like a half hour into this, and he has yet to make a single point at all.
And I mean, I know what he's going to say here is that we created these measures, therefore they are objective, but they are something that we have collectively agreed on.
Yes.
But that's not how measurements work. These measurements would exist even if nobody had ever come up with them.
They might have different words and terms, but like the idea of this would still exist. We still have to have some way of doing this.
And this is something I sort of struggled with in my younger days, the idea that maths exists. Mathematics exists as a thing, whether there were human beings around or not. There's just there would be nobody around to do the calculations if we weren't here. and I think that's what he's missing here. Is that these measurements, or rather to say that actually, we used to measure stuff differently as well. So what Roughest Drafts is saying is that we used to measure things in a different way. Now we have a standardized way that, well, most of the world agrees with the centimeters.
Yes.
And America agrees with inches. But
God, I wish the United States agreed with centimeters too. I find it frustrating.
This isn't always the way we measured things, but objectively, that measurement stays the same throughout history because it is just lines that we space equally apart. So
yeah. And in general, in society, we choose which one we agree upon and move on with that. United States is stuck with the English system, which isn't even the English system anymore. It's the United States system now because the English use metric. I find it very frustrating. I mean, it's so much easier.
Here's an example that sort of disproves his point. What is objectively, you know the size of a pint, right?
Yeah.
I know the size of a pint as well. Those two numbers are different because our pints are a different size to your pint. So
that's a good point. But yeah, I don't see him coming up with anything else here. Is there any like major viewed point? Oh, I am. Oh wait, no, wait, it's on Pinter. Okay. Oh, okay. There's a Cisco. I'm kind of interested what he's going to say about Cisco and Ebert here. Let's check that out.
Okay,
we're going to skip ahead a bit.
Yeah.
As you do later in your video, only to then glaze Dunkey, who is notoriously known to walk back his stances after gauging the public reception with actual examples to point to, where he deliberately plays a game the wrong way to frame it in a negative light that supports his criticisms, even if it's not true. Second, what he said regarding relatability in your review makes no sense. I agree that a review should reflect someone's genuine opinion, but if relatability is a main focus, then you are undermining your own perspective. And this is a sentiment shared by those regarded as the very best critics.
I think that, well, I know that over my typewriter, when I had a typewriter back in the old days, I had a little quotation from a book called The Immediate Experience by Robert Warshaw. And he said about film criticism, a man goes to the movies and the critic must be honest enough to admit that he is that man. Of course, you could say man or woman. I mean, he was a little bit sexist, but the point being, you went to the movies. The group didn't go to the movies. Right. A demographic segment didn't go to the movies. Kids didn't go to the movies. Adults didn't go to the movies. You went to the movies. What happened to you? And if it happened, you have to admit it. Now, a lot of critics are almost shy about confessing that they've had any kind of emotional reaction.
Right.
I mean, if you laughed, say you laughed. If you cried, say you cried. If you were bored, say how bored you were. But don't indicate that in a way you were kind of this aloof Olympian figure standing above the groundlings in the audience and observing with amusement their pathetic little reactions because you were there and the review should communicate what you thought.
What you're talking about there is courage. Now, I know that, and you think about it in occupations, people would say, boy, you guys have a really soft job. It doesn't involve any guts to do what you do. But oddly enough, I think that, and this, I think, the stakes are always being raised, no matter how successful you are in our job. And that is, you have to summon up the courage, just as you were saying, to say what you honestly feel. And it's not easy. And then we're living now, there's a whole new world called political correctness that's going on. And that is death to a critic to participate in that. Wanting to be liked is another piece of advice.
You've really put your finger on something.
Can I just say one thing? Just wanting to be liked. Forget even the world of political correctness. Just personally, wanting to be liked, wanting to go along with the group. Death to a critic. Take your best shot. I know that this is something that you must say to yourself even now. I know I do all the time. I've been given this lucky break to have a chance to say what I think. If I censor myself, I'm going to regret it. When
you said the words political correctness, all I could think of is a lot of college writers are either working for their student papers or they're writing papers that are going to be read out loud in class or duplicated and passed around in class. Yeah. And political correctness is the fascism of the 90s. It's kind of this rigid feeling that you have to keep your ideas and your ways of looking at things within very narrow boundaries, or you'll offend someone.
Right.
Certainly, one of the purposes of journalism is to challenge just that kind of thinking.
Sure.
And certainly, one of the purposes of criticism is to break boundaries. It's also one of the purposes of art. So that if a young journalist, 18, 19, 20, 21, undergraduate, tries to write politically correctly, what they're really doing is ventriloquism. You see, they're not.
Okay, so I just want to point out, like, he's using this clip that during this clip, by the way, Roger Ebert and Gene Siskel make a very clear point about how the film experience examining art, that's a very subjective thing. It's what they're talking about in the beginning. And then he's also using a criticism of political correctness, which I think the political correctness stuff, as we've seen over time, was overblown. Like, these guys like to make a big deal out of it. But he's trying to use that as a slander against this guy who hasn't made any arguments about political correctness whatsoever. So at least none that Kinoflex has presented. I'm just saying.
I'm very confused by why he chose a clip that basically says that everything that Drinker and Waller does is wrong.
Yeah. It's Gene Siskel and Roger Ebert saying, we go into a movie by ourselves and then we give you our opinions. That's literally what they're saying.
Yeah, in fact, they say that you should be bold enough to give your opinions regardless of what the majority feel.
Yeah.
Whereas I think it's pretty clear from Drinker and Waller's history is that all the videos they put out exclusively cater to the audience they've cultivated.
Mm.
They don't say they don't say anything that challenges their audience. They're never explicitly 100% positive about a film that their audience should hate because it's filled with the message. So yeah, to show that part of the clip just so they can get to the part where they dunk on political correctness for trying to they're calling out virtue signaling.
Yeah.
Whereas, as far as I'm concerned, that's all Drinker and Waller do. They virtue signal to their particular audience.
Nonstop. No.
What they think. They're projecting their ideas into another politically correct persona and trying to pretend that that persona reflects their ideas. And that is tragic, because what you're doing when you're politically correct is you're training yourself at a very young age to lie.
So instead of
Okay, so I'll let him do his argument here, but like, he literally just used a clip of Gene Siskel and Roger Ebert making an argument for subjective criticism. That's what that was.
relatability, Dunkey should have instead said airtight argumentation that presents a clear explanation of the reviewer's perspective, using examples from what is being reviewed while using coherent reasoning, so that even people who come in wanting to disagree have no choice but to agree. And even if the
Okay, this is very silly. Listen, I don't consider Dunkey a particularly serious YouTuber, but I have seen some of his videos. My son likes them. Most of it's obviously fucking jokes. It's obviously fucking jokes. I'm sorry.
person still disagrees without explaining where you went wrong with your reasoning, then that's not your fault, but the other person's fault for refusing to concede when they can't counter anything you've said.
The thing is, there's no possible way that any person can remove their biases from any equation. To pretend otherwise would be disingenuous. Rather than trying to measure things objectively, I think better reviews stem from an acknowledgement of one's biases, and an exploration of how those biases were confirmed or challenged by any given work.
While it is true that everyone has a bias, that doesn't mean that you can't review something objectively, because bias itself doesn't invalidate criticism, because you can have a specific perspective, interest, or motivation, and still be correct provided your reasoning and methodology are sound.
Yeah, I really feel like he's spinning his wheels so much here. It's ridiculous. I mean, you literally just played a clip of Roger Ebert and Gene Siskel debunking that idea. So, okay.
And in fact, saying that you should go in with your biases intact, and that you should be open about how those biases affected your enjoyment of the film or not.
Yes. Yes. So, yeah, I think we've covered enough. I don't even know what else to cover at this point. Is there anything else we specifically cover?
No, I don't think so. We've been going a couple of hours on this, and
yeah, it's a terrible video. Spoiler alert. Oh wait, here. Well, guys, thank you for joining us. Like and subscribe, of course. This is Nothing But Media over here. Make sure to visit his channel. Give him some love. I'm, of course, Organized Chaos. There's a whole bunch of the initiative people, actual fandom. Turf Nation's on YouTube, but you can give him some love if you wish.
It's good. His videos are still up and they're still good.
Yeah, Eric Debunks, Chariot. There's the whole crew of us. Thank you so much for joining us. Anything you want to promote, Ryan?
Not particularly, no. I would just say, yeah, go check out Roughest Draft's channel. He's got some great videos there. And despite what Kino Flex says, he makes some very compelling arguments, very well thought out, very thoughtful. And yeah, that's about it.
And while this is completely irrelevant, free Palestine, yes. Guys, party on and be excellent to each other.
I'm built like a goddamn brick.